Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case.
Is that correct?
I didn't ask you to interrupt me. Oh, for crumb's sake.
All right, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and if it looks like I'm doing two things at once, it's because I am. Judge Carroll's talking in my right ear, and I'm talking to you in the left, out of the left. Trying to follow this status hearing going on this morning. I cannot show you, by law, I cannot show you, but I can tell you what's happening. And it's juicy. We're talking about the money that has not been distributed in the Maya trial. Hang on one second. I just need 2 pairs of headphones, that's all. All right. This is not working very well. Okay, there's $4 million they're saying that the Anderson Glenn law firm has in their account that has not been transferred into the trust account, which it was supposed to be transferred into, apparently. And it might be a bar violation. It might be ethical considerations. Anyway, it's crazy. Good morning. Welcome. Good to have you all here this morning. Let me see if I can turn my volume up in one ear and not the other. You guys can't hear this. I'm sorry. I cannot even play the sound for you by law. But I can tell you word for word what they're saying if you'd like to know. Okay. All right, Legally Blonde.
Restrains you from talking to cats.
Legally Blonde, welcome. First in chat today. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here early. We're sensing you to internet ownership because you're prompt and clearly you've got some time on your hands. So, oh man, why can't they play it? This is a hearing that the judge is not allowed to be televised. I can't show you the hearing. I can't play you the audio. Who are the parties in the status conference? Let me tell you real quick. I'm looking at Nick Whitney. I'm looking at Mr. Anderson. I'm looking at Mr. Carroll. And a few others. David Hughes is there. A few people I don't recognize. Judge Carroll, definitely. But, yeah. Let me shrink it down so you don't see anything there. All right. First time Legally Blonde. That is amazing. You're going to do great. Have no fear. It is a big job. It is a terrible job. It's awful, but you're going to do fine at it. So that's good. All right. Welcome. You can show us, but I can't show us, but you're allowed to tell us. Yes. Hunter? Yeah, Miss C.H. Hunt. Yeah, he's there. He's there for sure. Hey, Mrs. R.A., how are you doing? Mrs. R.A. is here even. Mathis is taking extensive notes. Good. There are 5 things. Let me tell you this, and then we'll get ready for this morning. There are 5 things they're going to talk about. For those that don't know, the Maya trial, one of the biggest civil judgments I think we've ever seen in this country. Hundreds of millions. There are 5 things the judge wants to talk about. Motions to seal records, particularly DIN 4465 and 4466. Sanctions, which are not going to be addressed today. Motions for attorney's fees and costs. Disqualification of the Childers law firm. A bridge loan, about $4 million. Anderson Glenn has possibly in their accounts and not transferred into the trust fund as ordered by the court, and it's possible bar rules violation. And then there's a J. Hatch counterclaim against Anderson Glenn as well, which is going to, the judge knows it's going to basically burn the room down when that comes up, and that's going to be the last topic. So it's going to be wild. All right. Where are we? We are right here. We're getting ready to begin. Do we have so much stuff to do today because it is
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Oh.
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. Oh, that was higher than I expected. I got 2 thumbs down. 2 more, well, 1 thumb up. It is hump day. We made it halfway through the work week, I think. Yep. We have a... Jack Kowalski's also there, by the way. He's present. Let's see. The disputed bar violations. Oh my goodness! I wish we could play this. It's spicy. It's spicy. All right, we've got Shirley Knott, Alex, and Robin, and Mima all celebrating. So Shirley Knott, Alex, Robin, Mima. We're going to sing to all you guys. Everyone join with me as I'm listening to Court in one ear and singing Happy Birthday with the song in the other. We're going to sing Happy Birthday. So please, everyone, stand up, take a deep breath, shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room, blend your voice with your neighbor, warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Shirley Knott, Alex, Robin, and Mima. Happy birthday to you. Shirley Knott, Alex, Robin, and Mima. Happy birthday. I realize there are many wonderful days. Today is your wonderful day. And I realize there are a million places you could be and a million people you could celebrate with, but the privilege. But no, you chose to be here with us. The privilege, the pleasure, the honor, the joy is ours. Hopefully you can turn that pleasure back to making your day a little more happier. Begin. Mess that up. Begin. You can't hear me. Begin by. Sorry, my mics are all messed up because I can't hear myself either. Begin by helping yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP Village, and Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's House, Andy's Grill, Bob Evans, and Cracker Barrel. There we go. And while this is going on, let me tell you what Judge Carroll's saying. Back in October, before my security order, had you recognized that $4 million as an earned fee on the books of Anderson Glenn? Yes, Your Honor, says Mr. Anderson. But, and Judge has said, you'll be able to provide current documentary proof of that recognition of the money. Mr. Anderson says, I want to make sure I don't misexplain something to the court. The money did not go through the standard operating account. It had so many issues with it. To make sure there was no homemade language is what we were worried about. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you. There we go. Drum solo for the big finish. Everyone help me finish off the birthday celebration. There you go. There you go. All right. Hunt does not look thrilled at all. Anyone is allowed to watch the trial. I just don't think the judge is going to let people in now that it started, this hearing. So anyone can observe. No one's allowed to record it. No one's allowed to play the audio one life. So anyway, it's crazy. All right, we are beginning. We're about to go to court where a couple things are going to happen today. That's not the right picture. A couple things are going to happen today. First of all, Jim McIntyre may make an appearance in the form of Mr. Defendant, Nick Kassotis. Sorry, his last name escaped me for a second. It's a secret public hearing. It is. I took my slot streak to Vegas and lost my house. All right, we've got some audio coming, maybe, in just a second. Not yet. Most mysterious man in the world, Mr. Jim McIntyre. Good afternoon from Poland. Good morning from the United States of America, East Coast. Selena, I missed your anniversary. I just haven't gone back for them yet. Hang on. It's a good one, too, by the way. It's 28 months. There it is. Congratulations, Selena. I just love chatting RA. My surgery is tomorrow. Thank you for all your prayers. See you on the flip side. Hopefully that you get back to, I still think the marathon's in your future, Selena K. So have hope. Have hope. Thank you very much. Attorney level support, 28 months. OG! Selena, thank you very much. Barbara Farthing, also welcome to the gallery. Look at that. Got the pink courthouse as well. That means you're at least 2 years here. Another OG! What is the Maya trial about? Maya Kowalski and her family sued J Hatch, the hospital, after Maya's mom took her own life, presumably as a result of the treatment the hospital gave to her and her daughter, separating them. They claim kidnapping, abuse, everything else. There's a lot of stuff there. Hospital was bad. Oh, wow. They're talking about disgorging fees. Mr. Anderson does not want to show his loans and his finances. He does not want to give money back that the Kowalskis have paid. Greeners keeps winning and I keep losing, says Kimar. Oh, no. Okay, it looks like we're about to start. Jury's coming in. We expect the state to rest officially. We will have a judgment of acquittal motion, probably outside the presence of the jury, and then defense case. Is he going to take the stand? Yes, I have 2 full-size sets of headphones on. See this?
All right, everyone, please be seated.
Saratoga, Florida.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. Once again, I thank you for being here on time. I do want to confirm once again, everyone hopefully was able to avoid any news media accounts of this case. Did we have any issues? All right, then we'll proceed with the trial. Ms. Bayo, you may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, the state rests.
Now it's official. The state's rested.
Right. Is the defense ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor, but at this time we have a motion.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a matter that I'll have to take up outside your presence. So if you would, I'm
like
sorry,
we just got here.
You'll have to go back out, and then we'll bring you back in very quickly.
The Maya hearing is wrapping up already. He only has 15 more minutes. This is going to be a judgment of acquittal motion by Mr. Weinstein.
Everyone, please be seated. Mr. Weinstein, you may proceed with your motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach the record?
Yes, sir.
At this time, Your Honor, the defense is making a motion for a directed verdict on all of the counts currently against my client, Mr. Kassotis. We're making that motion under OCGA 1791. The defense maintains that the state has failed to present evidence upon which a rational trier of fact could find guilt on any of these counts. I'll go through each of them one by one. Regarding, well, let's take the malice murder and the felony murder together, Your Honor. The only evidence that the state has presented that in any way ties my client to the murder of Mindy Kassotis is my client's vehicle being seen near the scene of the body where Mindy Kassotis was found. They have also presented evidence of my client's cell phone being in that general area, as well as some of Mrs. Kassotis' blood being found at their marital residence. The other evidence presented with regard to, for example, the knife being found at the scene of the body, the tool mark expert got on that stand and testified that that knife could not have been used to dismember Ms. Kassotis. Regarding the Bass Pro Shop knives, which have not even been found, that particular knife was neither ruled in nor ruled out. They have not shown a murder weapon. They don't have any idea of the location of the murder. They're not witnesses. My client's DNA is not found at the scene of her body. There's no fingerprint evidence. So I do not believe that a rational trier of fact, viewing all of that evidence, could find that Mr. Kassotis murdered Mindy Kassotis, neither felony murder nor malice murder. As far as count 3, aggravated assault, again, similar to that, there has not been evidence that my client assaulted Mrs. Kassotis other than that described above with respect to the 2 murder charges. Concealing the death of another, the state has done extensive investigations. Agent Sands relentlessly had his team look for evidence of concealing the death of Mindy Kassotis by Mr. Kassotis. They didn't find tools that were used to dismember her. They did not find evidence of her dismemberment at the house other than some of her blood being on the futon, and that was not a great amount. They did not find power tools that could have been used to cut up the body like some of those false starts would indicate were used. So the only thing they have is his car being near the scene of where her body was found. Count 5 is the possession of a knife during the commission of a felony. They have Mr. Kassotis buying a knife similar to a knife that was found at the scene, but they have not shown his possession of that knife during the commission of any felony. The next set of counts all relate to possession of tools for the commission of a crime. Again, they have that one knife that was not used could not have been used, according to the tool mark expert, to dismember her. They have the Bass Pro Shop knives, which could neither be ruled in nor out. The removal of body parts from the scene of a death, count 11. They have no idea. The state has presented no evidence of where she died. They do not know where the scene of the death is. So there's just no evidence that body parts were removed from that scene of the death, especially because they can't even place the scene of the death. And count 12, tampering with evidence. Again, there's not been evidence that my client destroyed or concealed or used tools with respect to tampering with evidence. So what we have from the state is obviously a lot of circumstantial evidence. I fully appreciate that the jury can render verdicts on circumstantial evidence. But I would maintain that that circumstantial evidence is insufficient for a rational trier of fact to find that Mr. Kassotis committed any of these counts 1 through 12. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'll start at the beginning as well with malice murder. We've talked at varying points during the course of this trial leading up to today about the issue of venue, and it has been very clear that the legislature for the state of Georgia has made it very abundantly clear that they did not intend to allow murderers to essentially go free because they then subsequently moved a body or tampered with the evidence concerning the scene of a crime. With respect to the malice murder, Your Honor, it is abundantly clear from the evidence presented by the state that Mr. Kassotis, and in his own statements, was involved in a bloodletting event that was in the house in Savannah, Georgia. That incident, unfortunately, controlled by Mr. Kassotis, ultimately puts the state in the position of not being able to know exactly where she was killed, which is exactly why the venue statute permits in murder cases for it to be where the body is discovered. Her body somehow got from Savannah, Georgia to the woods in Riceboro. And I would point out that when it got to the woods in Riceboro and the autopsy was conducted, there were 9 traumatic injuries to her skull. She did not do those to herself. The only person that had access to her was Mr. Kassotis. That's the state's position, Your Honor, and that's the evidence that the jury will consider and have to render a decision as to whether or not they believe that presentation. In addition, Your Honor, there were defensive wounds, which indicated that she herself received those wounds from somebody else while she was alive. That would be the concern that the state has. The problem, Your Honor, of course, as counsel points out, is we don't know when she took her last breath. She could have taken that at any stage along the way. And as a result, the murder, Your Honor, the state's argument is this is not a snap murder. This is a premeditated, planned event. There is plenty of evidence before this jury that Mr. Kassotis went to extreme measures to purchase latex gloves, to purchase Clorox wipes, to purchase the knife on the very day that he then dumps her body. There's evidence that he himself transported those totes with him. He admitted that in an audio statement post-Miranda. And there is no dispute that they were a black and gray tote, which is what is sitting as I look at them in this courtroom. Mr. Kassotis then has the issue, and while I'm not required to prove premeditation, I'm also not required to prove a murder weapon. And the reason for the legislation in that, Your Honor, is clear as well. Defendants can take a murder weapon from a crime scene. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. So it's the state's position that there is plenty of evidence that Mrs. Kassotis was the victim of a violent assault, which also goes to the issue of felony murder. That issue being her being struck 9 times in the skull. In addition, we don't know specifically if any of those wounds were post or ante-mortem, the 3 at the abdomen. Those are additional assaults that just as easily could have been occurring within the county of Liberty during her dropping off in Riceboro. So it's the state's position that aggravated assault as the basis for the underlying felony murder is also present, Your Honor. That's a question of fact for the jury. The next count, Your Honor, that the state would discuss is concealing the death of another. And in this case, the way the state had articulated in the indictment was that he killed by dismembering her, transporting her body, and hiding it in a wooded area. It's the state's position that there is absolutely no question that that ultimately is what occurred in this case, and that's a question, again, for the trier of fact, that being the jury. The standard for the directed verdict is not beyond a reasonable doubt, and as a result, the state is of the opinion, Your Honor, that all of that evidence would be questions of fact for them. That said, the next series of counts, Your Honor, well, before I get there, is knife and commission. We know that Mr. Kassotis purchased the knife that we described on November 29th of 2022. That is the date articulated. He clearly possessed it. The state's position would be it was underneath his arm. There was a receipt showing he purchased it. And at that time, it's the state's argument that he purchased that knife in anticipation of needing to cut, unfortunately, I have to be this graphic, but the flesh of Mrs. Kassotis. The toolmark expert indicated that no, it was not used on the bones, or at least she couldn't say for sure because they were shallow cuts. But what she did say was she can't say for sure that it wasn't used on the neck or the other portions of her remains, unfortunately, to gain access to her bones. That said, it's the state's position that that also should be a question of fact for the jury. The possession of tools for the commission of the crime, I would just point out, Your Honor, I have those listed in counts 6 through 10, and those specifically articulate each of the tools that the state alleges that the defendant used, and that was in anticipation of the crime of commission of removal of body parts from scene of death or dismemberment. I would like to point out that Mr. Kassotis was in the area of the Portal Hunting Club, it's the state's position, for 2+ hours. That is the time period that is referred to when he admittedly says he turned off his phone. And then he's there for 2 hours. And her torso, with her arms attached, her head, and her 2 legs were found in that area. It is entirely possible that Mr. Kassotis spent that entire 2 hours dismembering her and tossing her remains in exactly that area. There was not evidence that there was a dismemberment at the house, and given the information that Mr. Frank Mevin was in the residence at the time on November 29th of 2022, it is highly unlikely that Mr. Kassotis pulled out a power tool and was severing his daughter's limbs while he sat in the room. So it's the state's position he did that in our county, and that's up to the jury to decide, Your Honor. That also references the knives, the deer processing kit, the tubs in question, the Ford Explorer itself. It also references the shovel that he used to bury her head. We introduced evidence of the dig marks, and specifically on the roots. And additionally, Your Honor, that knife, although counsel indicates that his client purchased that knife and it was not used in this, that's a question for the jury to determine, Your Honor. And finally, the last 2 counts, one is removal of body parts from scene of death. Clearly, she was moved around. So it's the state's position, Your Honor, that she ultimately took her last breath and he then discarded her remains in different places. And finally, the last portion would be tampering with evidence, and the way that it is articulated in the indictment is very specific, with intent to prevent and obstruct the apprehension of prosecution of Nicholas James Kassotis by destroying biological evidence and concealing tools from the commission of the crime. He bought gloves, he cleaned off the knife, he cleaned out the toads, there was cleaning wipes found at the scene, and it's the state's position that that's something that the jury needs to determine if they believe the state's position that that's exactly what he did at the scene of the crime. And as a result, Your Honor, I believe that each and every one of these counts should go to the jury for them to make the factual determination that counsel is now asking to be made.
All right, counsel, I do have concerns about a couple of counts.
Uh-oh.
Now, counts 7, 8, 9, and 10 all allege possession of tools for the commission of a crime. And I've done some research, and of course all of the cases, I looked at over 10 cases regarding the sufficiency of evidence with that particular charge. And they all relate to burglary cases, entering automobile cases, but in every case, the tools were found in the defendant's truck, in the front seat, in the back of the vehicle. And there was a nexus between the possession of those tools and the crime itself. In this case, for example, count 7, the deer processing kit. I believe the evidence was that was purchased sometime before they found the torso down near the hunting lodge. So what is the nexus between the possession of those tools and the commission of the crime?
November 28th, Your Honor, was the date that the deer processing kit was purchased of 2022. November 29th of 2022 is when the defendant's vehicle is captured going specifically to Riceboro to put that body, is our position, in the woods. On November 28th of 2022, Mr. Kassotis' statement to law enforcement was he purchased the knife, meaning the Milwaukee knife. He references nothing about mosquitoes for the deer processing kit. It is the state's position, Your Honor, that that knife set was purchased.
Not talking about the knife. I'm talking about the set. Okay,
Correct.
the whole set.
The set was purchased in anticipation of dismembering her remains, and that he then took her remains the very next day. He was not a hunter. There was testimony of that. He was not somebody that was known to hunt or have need for a deer processing kit, other than it's the state's position that he purchased it the day before he took her dismembered remains into the woods in Liberty County, and then those were distributed down there. There is no evidence, Your Honor, that the deer processing kit was used inside of the residence, because there is not dismemberment evidence at the house, but rather in the woods. So it's the state's position, Your Honor, that the jury would then simply have to determine if they believe, based on the fact that he made the purchase close in time to her actual dismemberment and distribution, was that used?
Same question with regard to count 10 and the shovel.
Your Honor, so in this case specifically, the only item that was adequately buried was her head. There was testimony from Detective Frost specifically that there was a place very close to where the head was recovered, buried underneath the ground in the middle of, or I should say the very end of November, some cut marks into roots that appeared to have been from an object striking the root. And those photographs were introduced into evidence. I submit to the court that it's the state's position that he didn't dig with his hands to get her head into the ground. He had to use a shovel, which is why I introduced evidence of the November 4th, 2022 purchase of the shovel and the hammer that were present at that purchase from Home Depot. Ultimately, he is captured on the surveillance camera with the shovel in his hand, walking out of the store with it. And that was on November 4th of 2022. Those purchases for the wipes, Your Honor, I would submit go back to August 16th of 2022. So the premeditation that the state will argue, Your Honor, includes the latex gloves, the Clorox wipes, the actual shovel itself, the deer processing kit, the Milwaukee knife. He utilized the tubs. Her blood was in it. So it's the state's position, Your Honor, that all of these were the tools that allowed him to commit the crime that we have before us.
Defense wish to weigh in?
Only to rely on the court's research that there is no nexus between these tools, no physical nexus at least, between these tools, these items that he purchased, the shovel a month before, roughly a month before she's found, the deer processing kit. Yes, he purchased the deer processing kit, but there's nothing showing that he possessed that at the time of the commission, alleged commission of this crime.
Yeah, I do have some concerns about counts 7 and 10, but with regard to all of the other counts, defense counsel has correctly pointed out, basically referring to OCGA section 24-14-9, that to authorize a conviction on circumstantial evidence, which is this case, the proved facts must not only be consistent with the theory of guilt, but also exclude every other reasonable theory other than the guilt of the accused. In that regard, the court believes there is an abundance of evidence that points to the guilt of the defendant, albeit circumstantial. But that creates a jury question, and the court's going to submit it to the jury, and I will deny the motion for directed verdict as to all of those counts. Again, I have concerns about counts 7 and 10, but I'll also deny your motion with regard to those counts, and we'll submit it to the jury. All right, before we bring the jury back in, Mr. Weinstein, has your client made a decision as to whether or not he will testify this morning?
He has made a decision, Your Honor. My client wishes to testify.
Oh, no.
Do you mind if I make an inquiry of him?
I would appreciate you doing that, Your Honor.
Okay.
He's doing it. He's doing it.
Sir, I've just been informed by your counsel that you intend to testify today. I do need to advise you that under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and also the Georgia Constitution, that you have a right against self-incrimination. That is, you have a right to remain silent. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you willing to give up that right and take the stand and testify under oath?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
And you understand that once you testify, that you will be subject to a full, thorough, and sifting cross-examination consistent with Georgia law?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had sufficient time to discuss this with your attorney?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
And is this your decision?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And it is your decision
so
alone?
bad.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
May I also put on the record that I did advise my client of his constitutional rights with regard to this, so we had a thorough consultation.
Is that correct, sir?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, very well.
Thank you.
Please be seated.
Your Honor, in light of that, I advised the court yesterday that I might have some motions in limine with respect to Mr. Kassotis' testimony. There have been questions, may I?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the spice
There have been
starts.
some questions about whether or not he would address the issue of agreeing or asking to take a lie detector test. So I would
Lie
obviously,
detector
given the
stays
court's
out.
ruling, and anticipate that he's not going to try to sua sponte, bring that into evidence.
Any reference to polygraph, lie detector test will be excluded.
He will absolutely not speak on those subjects, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, with respect to his competency, there have been no notices filed in any way, shape, or form concerning competency to stand trial or insanity. I have not heard counsel reference that at any point.
I don't see that as an issue in this case, but
I just trying to make sure that the defendant doesn't get up and then try to put his own competency into question upon his testimony.
That is not an issue in this case, Your Honor, and he will not be putting that into his testimony.
thank you, counsel.
And my last question, Your Honor, is there was some reference by counsel on cross-examination to Alex Murdaugh. I have absolutely no evidence submitted from them to us that there's any reference whatsoever to that, and he appeared to be making that reference in terms of Frank Mebane IV. I have absolutely no idea whether or not that would be something he is anticipating doing, but I don't see how there's any relevance, and if there is, I would like an offer of proof.
Counsel?
May I just briefly
Yes.
consult with my client?
Did he just invoke Murdaugh?
Alex stole it. And now Murdaugh stole it. Alex stole it as well.
There will be no subject matter of Alex Murdaugh brought into this testimony.
Mr. Murdaugh has his own problems.
He certainly does, Your Honor.
Well, Judge, he's indicated that, but he has not referenced Mr. Frank Mebane IV. I have obviously no objection to him discussing any questions about his somehow involvement in this case, but it appeared that he was trying to go, counsel Mr. Weinstein was trying to go into Mr. Mebane's job history, where he worked, things of that nature. I don't see how that's relevant in any way to this case.
And I think counsel concedes.
Yeah. We are not going to get into any of any issues with respect to Frank Mebane IV, except with respect to perhaps the living arrangements that they had, and Mr. Mebane requesting that or forcing my client and Mindy Kassotis to leave their home.
No.
Thank you.
No objection to that, Your Honor.
All right, okay. So we're ready?
Yes, sir.
Buckle
All
up.
right, let's bring the jury in.
Oh my goodness, you guys! The unlikely has become the reality. Here we are. Jim McIntyre himself is. Excuse me. Your Honor, can we move the knife? Oh! Before the defendant gets back access to the murder weapon, can we Can we move it out a little ways? That was hilarious. That is hilarious. Okay, well, the jury's coming in. Just wanted to let you know I have been listening and following in my right ear everything that's happening with the Judge Carroll case with Maya Kowalski. Obviously, they're waiting the Second District Court of Appeals ruling to do anything. No fireworks yet.
Okay.
But Math is in there. Amber's in there as well, following along, so we can follow that. But fireworks are happening right here.
That evidence from over there. But boxes as well.
Sure.
Do you mind if I go in?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Good for Jim getting his money's worth. Okay, maybe this will help us understand how people believed him. I mean, try to listen to his testimony in an unbiased fashion. Like you haven't heard any evidence against him. Like he's just somebody you met in normal circumstances, and he's telling his story. And see if this is if it checks out.
All right, everyone, please be seated.
He is, in fact, going to testify. Jury is here. Buckle up. Jim counter at the ready.
All right, the state has now rested its case. Mr. Weinstein, you may proceed for the defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Nicholas Kassotis to the stand.
Boom. Oh, my goodness. AKA Jim McIntyre. Okay, Judge Carroll is done. I can stop listening in that ear. Thank you, one and
Please
all.
raise your right hand and take the oath.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Truer words have often been spoken in this courtroom.
Mr. Kassotis, would you please state your name and spell it?
Nicholas James Kassotis, Nicholas, and my last name is Kassotis. Though at this time that is not my legal name.
Would you please tell the jury your legal name?
Nicholas Killian James Stark, Stark.
We have trouble with the first question.
The Killian James and Stark.
Oh, Killian is Kilian, and James is James.
I also go by Jim McIntyre.
Where were you born?
On email.
Born in Peterborough, New Hampshire.
Where did you grow up?
Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire. It is a very small town directly on the Massachusetts border. Small, rural New Hampshire. You talk about one stoplight towns, and we don't even have a full stoplight. It's one of those flashing ones.
Well, tell us about the region you grew up in. What was it like?
It's a rural area. It's heavily forested. I grew up on a dirt road, kind of in the middle of the woods. We have kind of regional high schools because all the surrounding towns are too small, so we have to put enough people together to fill a school.
What kind of recreational activities took place in that neck of the woods?
A lot of hunting, normal outdoor things, hiking, swimming. We lived about a mile from a lake.
What activities did you participate in?
I ran, I hiked. I loved being outdoors. I still love being outdoors. So a lot of kind of exploring, as some members of my family will say, sometimes getting a little too close to wildlife for my own safety, but...
Please tell the jury about your education.
After high school, I went to Boston University for college. I got my bachelor's there in 2004, and then I went to the Northeastern University School of Law, also in Boston. I got my JD, which is your basic law degree.
Following your JD, what career did you pursue?
I passed the Massachusetts bar that year and joined the United States Navy as a judge advocate.
Okay. Please tell the jury about your time in the Navy.
Yeah, I went on active duty starting in early 2008 after completing some training. We have what's called Officer Development School and then Naval Justice School, and then I reported to my first duty station in Norfolk, Virginia, where I was a defense attorney and a legal assistance attorney. While I was there, I also ran a couple of our smaller offices, and I deployed twice. I deployed once on short notice on the USNS Comfort. I was we would say the staff judge advocate. It's kind of just like an in-house lawyer for the mission commander. It was a humanitarian mission to Central America, South America, and the Caribbean on the ship for 4 or 5 months. I also deployed to Iraq, where I was stationed in Baghdad at a base called Camp Cropper, and I was doing issues related to detainees. The military captures a lot of people, and they have legal cases in Iraqi courts. They have legal rights and obligations that we have to give them. They're being interviewed by various things, and there was a lot of various legal issues that we had that I worked on.
What about your career following Iraq?
After I finished up in Norfolk, I was there on and off for 3 years with the deployments. I transferred to Region Legal Service Office, EURAFSWA, as we call it, Europe, Africa, and Southwest Asia. I was stationed in Sigonella, Sicily, at Naval Air Station Sigonella. There I was a prosecutor, and I was again, kind of a legal advisor to the commands on base, to the base commander, things of that nature.
Tell us about your time as a prosecutor.
I handled court-martials in the military, also some administrative boards, folks getting kind of thrown out, a lot of sexual assaults, unfortunately. That is the most common crime I think we see at the court-martial level in the military, but some drug use cases, thefts, things of that nature.
You mentioned sexual assault, drug use cases. Any other types of crimes that you prosecuted that you can recall right now?
Not that I can recall.
Were you also a defense attorney?
I was a defense attorney in Norfolk.
What types of crimes were you defending against there?
Also mainly sexual assault, sometimes... I had a kind of an odd case that was somebody had refused, or hadn't refused, I would argue hadn't refused, but had not taken a required urinalysis drug test, and that wound up at a court-martial. Some hazing cases, kind of some interesting drug use, things of that nature. I think one assault.
Did you eventually end up in the Pentagon?
I did. After Italy, I was stationed at the Pentagon for a couple years. When I first got there, I was an administrative law attorney, so anytime the military is trying to promote somebody, not promote somebody, fire somebody, it requires legal review, and it would wind its way through our office on its way to the three-star admiral who was kind of the head of our community.
Look at his mannerisms. This all sounds true.
And after that, I stayed. I moved to the office right next door, what was then called our International and Operational Law Division. Now it's called the National Security Law Division. I was the Chief of International Affairs, I believe was my job title, and I managed international agreements that the Navy has with navies and countries all over the world.
Did you get any further education while you were with the Navy?
I did. While I was at the Pentagon, I started going at night to get my LLM, which is a master's in law, and I got that at Georgetown University Law Center in national security law, focusing mostly on cybersecurity and privacy-related issues.
Can you tell us more about cybersecurity that you studied?
Yeah, anything from cyber investigations and prosecutions to compliance. What companies have to do when they retain your data, which, as I think we probably all know, companies know everything about us these days. So, what they have to do to protect them, under their regulatory rules, how they can use things, what they're allowed to do.
At some point, did you leave the Pentagon?
I did. I left in, I want to say September of 2017. I left active duty.
And where did you go from there?
At that point, I went to a Department of the Navy job with the Board for Correction of Naval Records.
As a civilian.
It is mostly when folks leave the military. There are other things that they do, but for the most part, when folks leave the military and don't have the discharge that they want. We talk about honorable discharges, and then there are, 4 that aren't as good. Sometimes either months or years later, they want to try to upgrade that to a better discharge, and those cases are reviewed by the Board for Correction of Naval Records.
But you were no longer with the Navy at that point, is that correct?
I was not a member of the Navy. I was a civilian working for the Navy. And I was a Navy reservist at that time.
So it wasn't dishonorable discharge then?
When did you cease being a Navy reservist?
I think officially I ceased being a Navy reservist in the fall of 2019, summer, fall of 2019, but I'm not exactly sure of that date. I had stopped drilling. And by drilling, we mean when people talk about the reserves, it's that 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. I had stopped doing that 1 weekend a month sometime before that in anticipation of leaving the reserves.
What's the process for when you leave the active duty in the Navy?
You have to write a request, and it goes through your immediate boss, and then it winds up in Millington, Tennessee, at Navy Personnel Command, where it is either you were allowed to leave or you were told no for some reason.
Is there a letter of resignation?
There is a letter of recommendation.
I'm sorry. 1 second. Please let me finish the question before you respond. So, is there a letter of resignation that goes along with that?
Yes, there is.
What did you state in your letter of resignation, if you recall?
If I recall, it was that I wanted more geographic stability and more professional stability. So the Navy JAG Corps puts a lot of emphasis on both moving constantly and also taking a lot of different jobs. They want people who are very well-rounded. They can plug into any job at a moment's notice, which is obviously useful for the military, but I wanted to be able to concentrate more professionally.
When did you leave the Naval Reserve?
That was, I believe, fall 2019.
Did that also have a resignation process involving a letter?
It did.
And what did you state in that letter, if you recall?
If I recall correctly, at that point it was, I talked about some health issues that my wife Mindy was going through.
Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
To your time in the Navy. Tell us about your personal life during that time.
When I arrived in Norfolk, I was single, and several months later I met then Heather Bassett, who I later married.
Do you recall when you married Heather Bassett?
September 26th, 2009.
Tell us about that marriage.
It was not great. We had a lot of issues, I think, kind of throughout, to the point where I later heard the night before our wedding, she told somebody publicly that she didn't think it was going to last. We had, I was deployed a lot. I was deployed for a large chunk of our engagement. I was deployed within 2 months of us getting married. I don't think either of those is also a good step for marital success. But I think we had a lot of disagreements kind of throughout our marriage.
What kind of disagreements did you have?
Things about money, about career moves, about children.
What were the disagreements about children?
When we had started dating, Heather had stated that she wanted children and that it would be relatively easy for her to have children. That she had a something called PCOS. I'm not really sure what you would call it. It's not a disease. It's a
condition,
syndrome of some type. That there were medications she could take that would make it very easy down the line for her to have children.
Did you ever have children with Miss Bassett?
I did not. No. We discussed it many times. At one point, we both got tested to see if everything was in working order, but she chose not to take the medication that and therefore we never had children. There was never a pregnancy or the attempt of a pregnancy.
When did you tell me about the end of your marriage to Heather?
In sometime in 2015, we had been having, I wouldn't even say issues because we weren't arguing, but she was gone a lot. She was spending nights at a friend's house, which was unusual. She was not around much, and at one point when she was around, she asked me to help her print a document from her computer. And while I was doing that, a Facebook message popped up on it that was obviously romantic in nature. She kind of snatched it away and said, "Oh, I just remembered how to print on here." And I started, I guess, looking into what was going on. And about a week later, I confronted her. At the time, I took a recording of the conversation. But I said I knew that she was seeing somebody. She told me that she'd been seeing a coworker of hers for some time, a man named Anthony Thomas.
Oh, naming names!
And,
wow.
And she left that day and moved to his house, and then kind of moved back, I believe, the next day, and we talked about things for a little while. She continued to see him, and then she moved out again back into his house.
Did you eventually get divorced?
We did. I filed for divorce on September 1st of 2015, and it was granted about a month and a half later, if memory serves, sometime in October.
Were you represented by counsel during that divorce?
I was not.
Was Heather?
She was not.
And you said the divorce was finalized about a month later?
Roughly, yes. It was October of 2015.
Do you know if Heather ever remarried following your divorce?
She did. The following day, she married Tony, as as he goes by, or the man that she was seeing, that she told me she was seeing during our marriage.
Wow.
When did you meet Mindy Kassotis?
I met Mindy on September 18th, 2015.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating website called OkCupid, and we had talked for, I don't know, maybe a week or so, and then we met at a restaurant in Alexandria, Virginia.
Do you recall where you met?
Yeah, it was called Blackwall Hitch. It's a restaurant kind of right down by the water. It's a nice little spot.
And you eventually married Mindy Kassotis, Mindy Kassotis, correct?
Fairly quickly, yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it was, I would say within a month we were talking about marriage. Starting to look at wedding venues. It happened very quickly, and we married just over a year later, on October 9th, 2016.
At the time that you married Mindy Kassotis, you still had obligations under your divorce decree to Heather, correct?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall the specific obligations that you had?
Yes, there were two loans that we were both on. A personal loan where we had refinanced some credit cards, if I remember correctly, and a Chevy Silverado. And later, I was also at that point living in the marital property and making payments on the mortgage, but later on she asked, because that had been purchased under her VA mortgage. For people who are veterans, they have the right to a VA mortgage. It had been purchased under her VA mortgage, right? So she asked me to work on refinancing and removing her from that so that she could use her VA mortgage for home purchase with Tony.
Were you able to do that refinancing?
I was not, no. I had started the process. I had paid for an attorney because there was deed work required. It was kind of a lengthy process, and by the time it was reaching fruition, a lot of other things were going wrong.
Did you fulfill any of the other obligations that were required to be fulfilled in your divorce decree from Heather?
Some of them. There was a lump sum payment, I believe, of $3,000 to pay off a bill that I paid off, and I was working on other things, but they did not come to pass.
Did Heather eventually pursue you for your failure to fulfill your obligations?
She did.
What did she do?
She filed some sort of a complaint in court saying that I was not fulfilling my obligations under a divorce decree.
How did that resolve itself?
I believed that it resolved itself in an agreement and then a payment to her.
What was the agreement on what you were supposed to pay Heather in that resolution?
In that resolution, I was supposed to pay her roughly $1.5 million.
Did you make that payment?
I believed the payment was made on my behalf. I did not actually make the payment, but I saw documentation and
watch his
I
left
believed
eye.
At the time that it was made. I had no reason not to.
It's on this side.
I believe you told the court you had $32 million. Is that correct?
That's what I was told. That's what I had been provided documentation to show.
There it goes. Left eye starting to twitch. I think
Let's
that's his
go
tell.
ahead and get into that.
Yes, sir.
You said things began to get weird. Can you explain that to the jury and also explain about the time frames for that?
Yes. In 2017, we were discussing my upcoming departure from active duty. We were discussing, starting a family, several things, and Mindy was very actively watching all of our spending because she wanted to make sure that we were in the best position financially, and she started noticing odd deductions from our accounts that weren't tied to anything that we were doing. Sometimes they seemed to be, the ones she showed me were, they didn't even have transaction numbers. It would just say something like payment, and hundreds of dollars would go missing. At the time, we thought it was an error with our bank. We were banking with USAA at the time, and thought that this was some sort of a bank error that would be easily resolved.
Did you tell other people about the bank issue outside of Mindy?
At this time, I don't know that we did. We might have, but again, in early 2017, we did not think that this was a serious issue.
Did you take that up with your bank, USAA?
Mindy did. I was at this time, both working full-time in the Pentagon, looking for jobs, and I was still taking that LLM at night, so I was kind of burning the candle at both ends, but she was taking care of kind of Mindy was not working at this time, so she was in charge of that.
And again, would you tell, when you say at this time, would you tell the jury the rough time frame of
this
the
is
USA?
Early to mid-2017.
Okay. Please let me get my questions out so that the court reporter can get it all down.
This is what you pay me for.
You said 2018?
2017.
2017. Anything else strange begin to happen around that time frame?
Not at that time, though we had been having kind of some, I'll say, familial arguments. Mindy, it started with Mindy and my brother Chris, and kind of evolved over time to include our parents. It was, at that time I believed it to be kind of normal marital, a new wife, somebody that they didn't know very well, and that these were kind of growing pains that we were going through.
When you say marital arguments, were those arguments between you and Mindy?
Sometimes, but more often between Mindy and my brother at this time.
Your brother Chris?
My brother Chris.
Okay. Any other weirdness begin to happen later?
Yes, sometime in late 2017, we'd seen kind of a brief reprieve where we thought that things had, our bank had fixed the issues, that things were no longer going wrong, and suddenly it kind of restarted with a lot more than it had before, and we also started seeing vandalism at our house. I would sometimes get anonymous emails stating, that I was going to be hurt or killed. Our mail would go missing, things of that nature.
Did you ever report that to any law enforcement?
I did.
Who did you report that to?
I reported that to the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
How did you report it to the FBI?
On their website somewhere, they had a, report a crime, and I filed a complaint there, and I believe Mindy also filed a complaint there.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living at 3805 Adrian Drive in Alexandria, Virginia. That was the house that Heather and I had purchased while we were married, and I continued living there after the dissolution of our marriage. And then later, when I met Mindy and she moved in, we lived in that house.
Did you report it to the Alexandria Police Department?
I did not.
What county is Alexandria in?
Virginia is a little strange, but there is an Alexandria City part of Alexandria, which is, so they are their own county, and then there is a Fairfax County part of Alexandria, which is where I lived.
Did you report it to any county law enforcement?
I did not.
What happened after?
I'm sorry, can I say why? The mail, my understanding, was a federal crime, as well as the banking issues, and since they all seemed, I imagine that they were all connected, I did not think going to local law enforcement would accomplish anything except for a police report.
Pardon me, but let me backtrack for a moment.
Yes, sir.
When you were at the Pentagon, was there ever any publicity surrounding your name?
There was.
What was that about?
In summer of 2016, I think about a month before our wedding, a high-profile case regarding a Marine had wound its way past my desk, and it resulted, a memo that I had been the initial author of was quoted in the Washington Post. It got a lot of attention.
Why did it get a lot of attention?
I think because of the both some of the underlying facts of the case. I wasn't involved in the underlying facts of the case, but several Marines were killed in Afghanistan by a corrupt Afghan police officer. There were some very salacious, awful personal details about him and crimes he committed against children. And it had to do with emailing classified information. That was the case that came to me, was this Marine who had retained and then emailed in unclassified form classified information. And for any of you who remember the 2016 election, that was a big issue about who was putting what on unclassified emails. So I think that kind of the timing, a couple months before that election,
Pickles.
It was a perfect storm to get some press attention.
How, if at all, did that press attention affect you at the time?
At the time, I was in the process of applying to jobs. I had actually had a third or fourth interview at a position I believed I was going to get, and very suddenly was not even being contacted anymore by them.
Okay, let's move back forward to the vandalism that you were experiencing. What type of vandalism was that?
Nails in our tires, a broken window, things of that nature. I mean, we wouldn't even move our cars some days, and it would have a new hole in the tire.
Was there any result of you making this report to the FBI?
Yes, there was.
What happened?
I contacted I tried to contact a former colleague who worked with the Department of Justice. I hoped that it would get us out of the bin of everybody's complaints and a bit more attention. I wasn't sure if I had managed to contact him, just because of his job. He keeps a very low profile. But several days later, I got a call at work. This was when I was working as a civilian at the Board for Correction and Naval Records, and Mindy said that an FBI agent had come to the house.
He keeps a low profile. You weren't sure if you were able to.
What did you do after learning that an FBI agent had come to the house?
I asked her what they had talked about. She said that he was there in regards to what had been happening to us, that he would be returning in the near future. I don't recall everything. It's been, 7 years. I'm not sure exactly what she told me that day versus what I learned shortly thereafter.
What was the name given by the FBI agent?
Jim McIntyre.
Boom. So I guess we need to start with the counter here.
What happened next with respect to Jim McIntyre?
He came back a couple days later.
Did you meet with him at that time?
I did.
Tell us about that.
He came to the house. I believe he had called to schedule it to make sure that I was going to be home at the time. He seemed very thorough, very professional. He wanted to know everything that had happened. He wanted copies of the emails that we had received. He wanted specific issues with the banks. I believe we printed out screenshots of the charges that showed what had been going on, and we provided all that to him. And he said that it was something he took seriously, and that he would be investigating it.
So some random individual shows up at your house, says he's with the FBI, and claims to be a man named Jim McIntyre. What did you do to verify that information?
I didn't verify it. Mindy believed that she had seen a badge, or she told me at the time that she'd seen a badge. I had no reason to doubt that he was who he said he was. It didn't cross my mind that somebody else could have shown up at my house at that time.
And what was your education again at this point in time?
At this point, I had my LLM. I had 2 law degrees and my bachelor's. I'd also worked with FBI agents in a number of different fields. I did not see anything that caused me to question that he was who he said he was. In fact, I thought that we were lucky. As this was going on, I read multiple news reports of people who had undergone cyber stalking and cyber crimes, and often it seemed like their big battle was getting somebody to believe what was going on, getting law enforcement to take it seriously, getting law enforcement who had jurisdiction over the crimes to take it seriously. And I thought we were lucky. I said many times how lucky we were.
What did Jim McIntyre advise you?
Over the coming weeks or months, he advised us that he believed that this Washington Post article had gotten me some attention that I was from a overseas hacking group of some sort that was targeting members of the military. He said that we should relax somewhat because he believed that the local vandalism and things of that nature were likely something they were paying kids to do or something of that nature. We were not in real danger. It was meant to be harassing us, and that he was continuing to investigate it.
Do you recall the approximate time or date that Jim McIntyre initially showed up and you had this conversation?
This was sometime in late 2017.
Gangs of children paid off by foreign shadow entities.
Did you eventually leave your civilian job with the Navy?
Yes, I left my civilian job in February of 2018.
What did you do at that point in time for work?
At that point, I believed I was being employed by a software company that he had connected me to, that Jim McIntyre had connected me to.
Little-known company called Microsoft. You probably
what software company did you believe you were employed by?
The name changed multiple times over the years that I believe I worked there. The ending name was Apis Limited.
It was Microsoft before that.
Which I believe is the Latin word for bee or something like that. like a bumblebee.
Like apiary.
Do you know why Jim McIntyre would help you find a job?
Yeah, I believe that he was helping me because of our situation, that he knew people, which is not uncommon, private sector and the government on criminal, especially cyber investigations, often have to work very hand in hand. And as I had talked to him, and I was hoping to find something that would allow me to work from home, because despite his reassurances that he did not think at that time we were in real danger, I was very uncomfortable leaving Mindy home alone. We had suffered a very serious car accident. She had a lot of health issues following that, and leaving my frail wife at home by herself when we're undergoing this was something that really bothered me.
When you were working for this company that eventually becomes Apis Limited, where were you working from?
I was working from home.
So this was remote work?
This was remote work.
Where were they headquartered?
I believe they were headquartered in Colorado at the time. Though I believe they were incorporated in Wyoming. I saw some incorporation documents, and that's not uncommon. Wyoming does not have a corporate income tax, the same way that most large corporations are headquartered in Delaware because of the laws.
What was your role within Apis Limited?
I was an attorney, kind of a general counsel role, though it carried with it a lot of kind of other stuff. Sometimes I would be called on to help look through data, records that were being generated by the software.
What was the nature of their business?
The nature of their business was AI software development, basically using artificial intelligence software to analyze data and find connections between it.
Were you doing any coding for them at this time?
Very little. Sometimes I would be asked to look at something. I do have somewhat of a coding background, but it was not something that I was called on regularly to do because, frankly, there were other people who were much better at it than me. I think, sometimes there are situations where everybody else knows too much about a problem and somebody who's looking at it with fresh eyes can help, but very rarely was I asked to look at any coding.
Were you still with this company in 2019?
Yes, I was. Sorry.
And that's about the same time that Heather is coming, finally bringing it to a head to collect this divorce obligations that you have failed to perform?
Yes.
So when you agreed to pay her $1.5 million, what made you think that you had $1.5 million?
Mr. Jim McIntyre told me I did. If I could back up just a little,
please,
because that year, the year 2018 into early 2019, a lot had happened. In May, we were told to leave our house. He said that there were arrests being made and that there was nobody. It was a holiday weekend, I believe it was Memorial Day weekend, and that he was worried we would not be safe if we stayed there, that somebody might do something rash, and we were terrified. We kind of grabbed our dog and we went down to Williamsburg, Virginia. There's a naval base right outside Williamsburg, Naval Weapons Station Yorktown, that has little vacation cabins on, and we kind of huddled down there for the weekend and came back thinking that everything was over. It was not over, obviously. Things continued. If anything, it picked up pace. The money disappearing, the issues with our bank accounts, the issues with emails, mail, vandalism of our house. So we were in contact with Mr. McIntyre, or man we knew as Mr. McIntyre again, and he started looking for other suspects. He said at that time it was clear that somebody else was doing this, and he was casting a wider net.
It's not the gangs of children.
Why would Jim McIntyre know how much money you had?
Because there was a large sale or licensing agreement that was completed at some point. I wasn't getting paid by this company. I was paid only in stock options, and I was told that this large sum of money was being given to me. I believe this was late 2018. Honestly, it felt kind of like a lottery ticket. It was something that I had never expected.
That'll never happen.
And but we had real issues with getting a large chunk of money because we couldn't put a couple $100s into our account without it going missing within a matter of minutes, if not hours.
You just kept putting money in, it kept getting missing.
So during that time, he said he set up a trust. He showed us extensive documentation where it would be invested and care would be taken of it, and it wouldn't be anything that we could touch or until it was safe to do so, and also it would be thankfully, something that nobody else could touch because of that same reason.
So eventually you go into court in Virginia because Heather's attempting to get this $1.5 million from you, correct?
Yes, and we were dealing with two loans that were both under $20,000 and a mortgage that was about $550,000, maybe $600,000. So this $1.5 million was something that Jim had suggested to me to make an offer to her, both because in the lead up we were unsure if Heather might be involved in what was going on against us. She was one of many suspects that he discussed with us. He went into really great depth in everybody in our life, and and he said this was one of those situations where if she wasn't involved, I would never have to pay her anything. It would all be forfeited when she was arrested. If she was not involved, she had suffered along with us through this. There was an effect on her life. Things that she had to deal with in terms of her employment. So
it was a foreign hacker group or your ex-wife.
Why would you tell the judge that Mindy was the impediment to you paying the $1.5 million?
At the time, that's what I was told.
And you heard the judge warn you that you better come up with that money in the next week, correct?
Absolutely.
And what did the judge tell you would happen if you didn't come up with that money in the next week?
That I would be held in contempt and arrested.
Did you come up with that money in the next week?
I believed I did.
Why did you believe you did?
Because when I returned home, both Mindy and Jim McIntyre were there. I thought I was going to have to go to Atlanta to meet with Mindy. She had been gone for several days, but Jim said that this was, kind of his last investigative step into Heather, into Mrs. Thomas, and he said that she was not involved in what was going on. That he had wired the money. I had a wire confirmation, and I had bank documents later showing that money coming out of the trust, and I assumed that everything was settled.
Do you have any of that documentation right now?
I do not anymore.
Why not?
Because we left that house later that year, and I don't know if we left it there or if it has something that we lost over time, but we moved a lot. So
you say when you say you left that house, you're referring to the house in Alexandria?
Yes, yeah, the Adrian Drive house in Alexandria, the one that Heather and I had purchased together.
So the court issue was January of 2019, is that correct?
That's correct.
When did you leave your house in Alexandria?
I left my house in Alexandria in late October of 2019.
And did you leave the state of Virginia at that time?
No, I did not.
Where did you go?
I went to the Charlottesville, Virginia area. It's roughly 2 hours southwest of Alexandria.
Why did you move to Charlottesville?
We were looking at relocating to Charlottesville. It was an area that we both like. It's more rural. It's very pretty, and we were hoping to live there.
Where did you stay in Charlottesville?
We stayed at a rental property, and I was told that the gym, within a day or two, had rented us a longer-term rental that we could use, and that we would be moving into that.
Where were all of your personal and household effects at that time?
So we had 3 groups of stuff. We were told to leave with roughly 2 weeks of stuff because that's what it would take for us, everything else to catch up with us. We had a moving pod at the house that I personally packed up with, 90% of what we owned. And then we had some things that I was worried were too delicate to put in a pod. I called Mr. McIntyre and said, if I put this in here, it's going to be destroyed. Things like photographs, framed pictures, china. And he said to get a local storage unit, put it in there, and give him the key, and then he would help. He would have it moved later on.
And was it moved later on?
I have absolutely no idea.
You weren't concerned that all of your goods?
I was very concerned about our things, but I was told it was moved, but I have absolutely no idea if it was actually moved.
And who found your place in Charlottesville?
I found our initial rental in Charlottesville. He had found what he told us was going to be the long-term place that we were.
And where was that long-term place?
I believe it was Nelson County, or it's a little west of Charlottesville, and I haven't been there in a couple of years, so I forget the exact name of the county.
Now you're still working for Apis Limited at this time?
I am. 12, 15 hours a day at times.
12, 15 hours a day?
Yes.
What were you doing for 12 to 15 hours a day?
Reviewing data, reviewing memos, typing memos.
I wrote a lot of memos.
Anything other than that riveting work?
No. A lot of time staring at a computer screen.
Did you eventually leave Charlottesville?
We did. The night that we arrived there, or possibly the next day, I was assaulted at the house that he had set up as a long-term rental. At that time, he had told me that I was being targeted by members of my family, most specifically my father, Wayne Kassotis.
Did you believe that?
I did believe that.
Why would you believe that your own father would travel to Charlottesville and assault you?
At that time, we had been looking at literally everyone in our lives. My ex-wife, Mindy's ex-boyfriend, a former boss of Mindy's best friend who had tried to assault her at one point. Anyone who might have ill will held against us. And he, at some point he had come back to us in mid to late 2019 and said, I have information, that this is being perpetrated by your family for reasons unknown. At the time, he said he assumed it was financial because of this large amount of money that we had received. And things were very bad with my family at this point. We were
they're trying to kill you apparently.
We've always been very close, but
not always.
But things were. We weren't speaking. Things had gotten so strained that we were not in contact at all. He and somebody that he had put me on the phone with, to talk about kind of.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment to ask you to try to not use pronouns where it's unclear who you're referring to.
I'm sorry.
Say Jim McIntyre.
So when you say he, can you continue and use actual names?
Yeah. Jim had set me up to speak with somebody over the phone. I'd been in therapy before.
Thanks, Doug.
And somebody he said was a therapist who said I showed a lot of signs of repressed abuse at the hands of my family, that we had extremely unhealthy things going on within the family structure, and at the time it kind of unfortunately made sense just because of how bad things were, and it was so strange and frankly so scary at the time. We had been, this is mid 2019. We had been dealing with this now for over 2 years, and it was only getting worse.
What kind of assault did you suffer?
I was attacked from behind. Somebody hit me with something hard. I don't know if it was a board or a baseball bat or something, but I was hit multiple times. I was kicked in the face.
Did you seek medical treatment?
I did.
Kicked in the face from behind. It's terrible.
Did you make reports to law enforcement?
I believed I did. I made that night. I called Mr. McIntyre and told him what had happened. He's the one who brought me to a medical clinic the next day, the following morning.
Did you eventually leave Charlottesville?
We did. We were very concerned. He told us at that time that he was taking over, making all of our rental arrangements, and we started doing what we would unfortunately do for some time to come, which was moving fairly regularly. Packing everything up, sometimes on only an hour notice, and going to another house. So we did that for, I guess we got there the beginning of November or the very end of October, and we were there until right before Christmas.
There being Charlottesville?
I'm sorry, we were in Charlottesville or the surrounding areas. I don't know that we were ever in Charlottesville proper, but we were in the surrounding areas for 2 months.
And why did you leave Charlottesville?
He said that he felt like it would be better for us to get out of Virginia for a while. After the assault, Mindy also wanted to spend Christmas with her family. Her family all lived at this point in South Carolina, the Hilton Head area. I'm not sure exactly if her parents were in that immediate area at the time, but her family would all be in Hilton Head for Christmas.
Forgive me, pronouns are the bane of my existence.
Yes,
could you try to use a name? He is who in this?
He is Jim McIntyre.
Okay. So where did you move to?
At this point, we moved into a rental in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Who found that rental?
He did.
Who paid for that rental?
I came to learn later that Cameron Nelson paid for that rental.
Amber, he is
so
who?
At the time, I believed he was paying for it.
He is Jim McIntyre. We need that soundbite.
Why did you believe Cameron Nelson was paying for that rental?
At the time, I believed Jim McIntyre was paying for the rental.
At the time, you believed it.
Yes.
Oops.
Why would you believe Jim McIntyre, this FBI agent, is paying for the rental of your homes?
I assumed that he was paying for it out of our own money, but because he had access to this trust, I didn't think this was coming out of FBI funds or anything.
Why did he have access to your money?
Accounts.
Because he was keeping it safe for us, was our understanding.
So you moved to the Airbnb in Hilton Head. How long were you there?
I don't know that it was an Airbnb. It was a vacation rental. I never saw any of these rental documents. So we were there for no more than a week, and then we were told to move and go to a different rental, also in Hilton Head.
Who told you to move?
Jim McIntyre.
Why?
Because he said that if we stayed in one place too long, that we might be found, that it was dangerous.
How were you feeling at this time?
I was frankly terrified. I mean, even we had our dog Rusty. Bringing Rusty out to the bathroom was kind of a fraught exercise. I was always worried that somebody was going to be driving by and see us. I was still physically suffering the aftermath and mentally suffering the aftermath of the assault. I was absolutely terrified all of the time.
So approximately, when did you move to Hilton Head?
We moved to Hilton Head in roughly late December of 2019. It was either Christmas Eve or we might have arrived the night before that. I believe we arrived the night before, the evening of December 23rd.
And how long did you stay in Hilton Head on this portion?
We stayed in Hilton Head for just over 6 months. We left the second week of June.
And how many places did you live in over that 6-month period?
I would be estimating, but 15 to 25.
You moved 15 to 20 times during that 6-month period?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
How would you move your things?
We had,
Jim would do it.
At that time, a couple of cardboard boxes. As time went on, those obviously get destroyed. And we had plastic bins that were delivered to us, and when those would get destroyed, we would get new ones, and they would get beat up too.
Did you have a vehicle at this point in time?
At this point in time, we did, yes. We had my Chevy Silverado.
Wow.
So of those approximately 15 places that you lived in Hilton Head during this time, early 2020, how were those places procured?
By Mr. Jim McIntyre. We never knew when we would move. We never knew when we would move out. Sometimes we would be in a place for 6 or 7 weeks. Those were rare but wonderful. And sometimes it would be every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes with literally an hour to pack. He would say, "You have to be out of the house in an hour. This is where you're going. This is the code to get in."
Jim sucks at his job. Jim is just terrible.
Why did you believe Jim McIntyre was paying for all these places?
I believed that the money was being paid for us. I believed that he was protecting us because of this investigation.
How did Jim McIntyre get Cameron's credit card information?
I have absolutely...
Let me just finish the question, please. In order to have Cameron pay for all of this?
I have absolutely no idea.
Did you provide it to him?
I did not.
But Cameron provided you with her credit card information, correct?
Yes, Cameron provided me with a physical credit card as well as the billing address.
Jim took it.
That I believed we were using for food from time to time, and 2 initial rentals when we had first left our home. One in Alexandria where we stayed while I was packing up the home, and then the first one in Charlottesville where I thought we would be. And I specifically reached out to her about those 2 rentals, and then I did not think that we were putting anything else large on that card, so we did not talk about it for some time.
You gave Jim McIntyre access to your financials?
I gave Jim McIntyre access to literally everything. I believed because of the investigation and that it was necessary. Financials, my bank accounts, my email accounts, my social media accounts, absolutely everything. And so did Mindy.
I'm sorry, tell me the full list, if you will, of everything that you gave Jim McIntyre access to.
He had access to our home. He had a spare key to our home as well as the alarm code while we lived there. He had all of our bank accounts, USAA and a couple others that we had tried to pick up to do that.
He had a guest room in
at
our
this
house.
point our mail. We had initially moved our mail to a post office because of the constant issues we had getting our mail. It would just sometimes for days we would not get any mail, and then we would get things that slipped through that said, well, you haven't paid this bill that we hadn't received. Shortly before we left, we moved our mail to a service down in Florida that would scan it and hold on to it for you, let you know what it was. So he had access to that. All of our social media, both of our social media. Anything from Reddit to Twitter to Instagram to Facebook. He also had our Signal. So Signal is a encrypted messaging app. I know we've heard a little talk about it. You can mirror Signal from your phone to a computer so that you could use either the phone or the computer. He had us mirror our Signal accounts to professional computers of his, so that he could monitor those conversations as well.
Look at the people laughing in the back.
I'll ask you to just slow down just a little bit to make sure the court reporter gets everything.
Yes, sir.
Can't keep a straight face.
So, eventually you leave Hilton Head, correct?
Yes, in late May of 2020, Mindy had a large argument with her brother, and then a smaller argument with her parents, and
a medium-sized
said that she didn't feel like she wanted to stay in the area anymore, and Jim asked us how we felt about Charleston, South Carolina.
When you say not wanting to stay in the area, her family was in that area?
Yes, her family was in the area.
Who lived in that area?
Her brother Frank the Fourth, a lot of Franks. Frank the Fourth, and then his wife Megan at the time. And they are, to my understanding, still married. I mean, at the time because they had a child later. And I believe that Mindy's parents and her youngest brother, Matthew, also lived in the area at the time. Her parents, Betsy and Frank III, and then Matthew, who is, I guess at this point in his early 20s, but back then was still in high school.
So in that first half of 2020 period, how would you describe the relationship that you had with Frank IV and Megan?
I thought it was generally quite good, though when he and Mindy had their large argument, I didn't speak to them. It's kind of, if your wife is fighting with her brother, you don't talk to her brother. You let them deal with it.
Okay.
Give him the silent treatment.
Again, I'm sorry. Would you tell me again where did you move after May of 2020? We
moved very briefly to Charleston, South Carolina.
Why did you move to Charleston?
It was something that Jim had suggested, how we felt about it. Neither of us had ever been to Charleston, and we said we would try it.
What kind of work, if any, was Mindy doing at this time?
Mindy was not doing any work at this time.
Why not?
She had left her job shortly before we got married. And it was not a healthy office environment. She had briefly run an events company in Virginia, but that wasn't really work she enjoyed. It was just something that she did, I think, to keep busy. And she had launched a podcast, but after the first season of that, because of everything else that was happening, she did not do the work for the second season.
While you're moving 15 times in Hilton Head, who knows how many times after that, you'd mentioned strange things earlier. Were strange things continuing to happen to you?
We still did not have access to any of our bank accounts. We couldn't even log into our bank accounts. We tried on various occasions, and it would say, the password doesn't work. If we reset the password, we wouldn't even get the email. But other than that, physically, we were not still having the damage to the houses that we were in, anything like that.
Okay. How long are you in Charleston?
We are in Charleston for only a week.
Why only a week?
A couple things. Mindy had Mindy throughout this stretch had some health issues. She had been very sick back in February, and then had something that we just didn't understand in June. was at the hospital for a couple days.
Could be poisoning.
But neither one of us really liked Charleston. I'm not a city guy, so it was a little too developed. Not enough privacy. So we said to Mr. McIntyre that it wasn't a place that we thought that we would see ourselves long term, and he said that he would find something else. And a day or two later, he came up with Beaufort, South Carolina.
You referenced, we'll get to Beaufort in a moment. You referenced Mindy's health issues. What health issues was she having at this time?
She got very sick in February. Over the course of 2020, I did kind of extensive spreadsheets on when I thought she had different symptoms. She had at the time what appeared to be a very nasty cold, but later I questioned whether it might be COVID. And then in June, the week we spent in Charleston, she had some sort of I don't know what you would call it, a spell. She started shaking uncontrollably. Her eyes were very, very large. Her pupils dilated almost to the edge of her eyes. I was absolutely terrified.
So what kind of treatment, if any, did she get for that?
I was told that she went to the there's a large hospital in Charleston, and I forget what it's called. I think it's affiliated with a college or university, but I was told she was brought there, that they tested her extensively and couldn't find anything over the period of 2 or 3 days, and she was better and returned.
This is all very passive voice. You didn't take her to the hospital?
I did not. Mr. McIntyre took her to the hospital. This was a concern of ours throughout, that when she was seeking medical treatment, because of our insurance, because of our last names, that this was going to pop up somewhere that could potentially be used to identify us.
By a creditor?
You say because of your insurance. What insurance did you have in 2020?
At this point, I believe we had Medicaid or Medicare. I had not procured it, so I'm not 100% sure. Mr. McIntyre had signed us up, and
do you recall what state that?
It was in Virginia. We still had Virginia driver's license. We were still registered to vote in Virginia. He told us that we would maintain that until we settled somewhere where we knew we were going to settle. This was kind of a moving target to find out where we were going to end up.
So who decided to leave Charleston?
We told Mr. McIntyre that was not a place we wanted to stay long term, and therefore, if we could, a city, especially if you're very concerned about your safety, there's a lot more people moving around, there's a lot more traffic, it did not do anything to calm us.
So where'd you go next?
We went to Beaufort, South Carolina. It's a little town, I guess probably 45 minutes to an hour northeast of Savannah.
And how long were you at Beaufort?
We were in Beaufort for 8 months until mid to late February of 2021.
Where did you stay in Beaufort?
Again, we moved regularly, probably another 15 to 20 places there.
And how did you procure those places to reside?
Mr. McIntyre procured those places.
Okay.
Now at this time we had learned that Miss Nelson was paying for those places.
How did you learn that?
In April, so 2020 was the COVID year. In April, she had sent.
She is who?
She Cameron Nelson had sent Mindy and I a message saying that because her husband runs restaurants, and at the time it looked like all restaurants might be shutting down for the foreseeable future, that she would not be able to keep paying for our rentals if things did not change quickly.
Did you learn at that time exactly how much money she had lent you up to this point?
I had not, no. I was livid, it was at this time that we learned that Mr. McIntyre was not a federal agent.
How did you learn that?
I had a conversation with him as to why this was, why he was charging a friend of mine's card, why wasn't there, either coming from our own money or some sort of official fund, why this was happening. And I made some reference to wanting to speak to his superior, and he said, Nick, I'm not an FBI agent. Why would you think that?
And I was like, Really?
Did you continue to maintain your relationship with him after you found out about this?
We did, after following, probably the worst argument that Mindy and I ever had.
What was that argument about?
He moved us in the days after that to a rental that we were, not happy with. At this point, we were living with Mindy's father and mother, Betsy and Frank III, as well as Matthew, the youngest brother. He had moved us to a rental that we were not happy with, but for the first time, we actually had a rental agreement that showed how long the rental had been paid for. It was a different company than I think they were normally procured through. So for the first time, we knew that we had, I forget if it was a week or a week and a half, and I said this is, we shouldn't be dealing with this anymore. Like we have a week or a week and a half. We've got to figure out a plan. We've got to, cut ties with Jim. Like I feel like I've been lied to for years. Don't
mess around with Jim.
But you didn't cut ties with Jim, correct?
We did not. No, Mindy felt that Jim was our, our angel.
hope.
She said, he had made mistakes, but we would be in the position to fix all those mistakes. And if we stopped working together, then who knows, if his resolve to see this end in our favor was going to go away. What would we be doing in the meantime? When I said, I think we can figure this out, but she got out of our truck and walked all the way to her brother's house. It was 5 or 6 miles.
Did you inquire of Jim McIntyre why he was doing all of this work for you if he was not with the FBI?
Absolutely.
What did you learn?
I learned that he was the majority investor in this company that I was working for. He also said that he had worked extensively with the FBI, and I had many phone calls with people I believed to be, even following that FBI agents.
You mentioned living with Betsy and Frank III, correct?
Yes.
When did you first live with them?
This would have been April, right around the time of the COVID shutdowns, the first COVID shutdown. So late March, early April of 2020, Frank III had a knee surgery, and he was living with Frank IV at the time, but given that entire house is on 3 levels and the living levels are all a full level up in the air from the garage area, then he was not going to be able to get up those stairs following his surgery and was not going to be able to maneuver around the house following the surgery. So we asked Mr. McIntyre to ensure that we had a 1-level rental that had enough bedrooms, and Frank and Betsy came, and Matthew came as well. I think he was a high school kid. I think he kind of enjoyed sleeping somewhere away from home.
So what was the point where you were living with Frank IV, in Frank IV's home?
That was not until the following February.
Okay. So you leave Beaufort, South Carolina, February of 2021, correct?
Yes.
And then where do you go?
We go to Frank IV's house in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
How long are you at Frank IV's house?
16 months. We leave in June of 2022.
How much were you paying him to stay there?
We were not paying him to stay there.
Did you feel like a freeloader?
I absolutely did.
As you should.
Why didn't you pay him any money to stay in his home?
We had no money to pay him.
I thought you have a job with Apis Limited.
Yes, that job, I was told was generating money, but we did not have a bank account at this point. We did not have access to any of these funds. We asked multiple times for Jim to send money to Frank to offset the cost. We understood that there was food, there was dog food, involved in this, but
power tools.
He said he always said he would look into it, and then he would always say, if I do this, it's potential that somebody's going to learn where you are.
Why did you leave Frank IV's home?
He filed to evict us from the home.
Jim,
why did he have to take that step?
I didn't think he had to take the step, but there had been a lot of discussions about when we were leaving. We would be given a date, then the date would pass. And I think he got tired. He got tired of waiting.
When did you eventually leave Frank IV's home?
I believe it was June of 2022.
And where did you go after you left Frank IV? Oh, let me go back to Frank IV's home. Who all was living in Frank IV's home at the time you were living there?
Yeah, it was myself and Mindy. Betsy, Mindy's mom, was living there the entire time we were there, as well as Frank IV and his wife Megan and their daughter Harper, who had been born in late 2020. I think September 2020, if memory serves. At some point, Frank III also moved into the house. After we had been there maybe 6 to 9 months, I don't remember the exact
They saw how good you had it.
Matthew never lived there. Matthew had finished high school in Dublin, Georgia, and while he visited multiple times, he then was going to a junior college somewhere in Georgia.
When you left in June of 2022, where did you go? Oh, let me go back. At this time, when you were living with Frank IV, again, was there any of this weirdness, strangeness that you described going on then?
No. Actually, this was the safest place we had felt in some time, both because of Frank IV's background, the security at the house, and the setup of where the house was located.
And
had a good sniper's perch.
Very briefly, what is Frank IV's background?
He's a police officer.
Where did you go when you left in June of 2022?
We went to a La Quinta hotel in, actually I think this one was a motel in Savannah for 5 days, and then we moved to a La Quinta hotel in Savannah. I believe they're both in what's called the Midtown area, but I don't know the Savannah neighborhoods that well to be sure.
Who found the first La Quinta that you moved into?
Mrs. Betsy Mebane.
Who paid for that?
She paid for that first one, for those 5 days, and then I believe she paid for 2 days at the second one.
Why did you move from the first La Quinta to the second?
We were coming up on the weekend, and she told me to go in and book us for the weekend, and when I went in, the price was much more than I anticipated it would be. So I contacted her, and she said, no, that's way too high. And then she contacted the other one and found their prices for the weekends to be significantly lower, and said she would come and pick us up and move us.
Do you know why Jim McIntyre didn't find you a place to live?
We were very angry with Jim at this time.
Why?
Because we felt that he had made this situation with Frank, untenable. Frank IV untenable. Jim had made the situation with Frank IV untenable by promising things and then not delivering on them for a long time, and we were trying to assert some boundaries with him.
Okay. Where did you go after the second La Quinta?
After the second La Quinta, we moved into the house at 311 East 65th Street in Savannah.
Who found that house?
I found that house.
How did you find it?
On Airbnb.
I Googled secure locations to hide.
Who paid for that Airbnb?
I paid for that Airbnb.
You had no income. How did you pay for that Airbnb?
At that point, I did have income. I had sold a short story to Sony Pictures and had made several $100,000, and we had managed to get that money. And one of our boundaries with Jim was we were going to understand where we lived, how long we lived there, and we were going to pay for it.
Was that short story fact or fiction?
That was fiction.
What type of fiction was it?
Horror fiction, dark fiction.
Would you describe...
Scary stories.
I'm sorry.
I said scary stories.
Would you describe what dark fiction is?
Yeah, it's horror, thrillers, things of that nature. Stories that are meant to be scary and exciting.
How did you get involved in that?
I had read it for, pretty much my entire life, and then I started writing it as a hobby. I'm not exactly sure. 2016, 2017. Nothing at that point that I anticipated being anything more than a hobby that was shared
first story I wrote
anonymously on Reddit.
Yeah. How did you publish those short stories?
Later, I published several, but at the time I would just post them on Reddit, and people would comment on them, and it was just kind of fun and kind of an escape.
Would you describe what Reddit is?
Reddit is a largely text-based website that has little sub-communities on basically everything. There is a well-known sub-community on there called No Sleep that is people sharing a specific type of scary stories. One's written basically from the viewpoint of the person that is telling them.
Written from
Almost all, if not all. Sorry, entirely fictional.
Almost all. Was there truth in yours?
What was the name of the short story that you licensed to Sony?
My mother-in-law is poisoning me, and then I found out why.
What's the name of the mother-in-law?
Betsy.
How'd you come up with that name?
Betsy was my mother-in-law.
What was your relationship like with Betsy?
Fantastic.
Can you describe the plot of that short story?
Yeah, a young woman is married to somebody, and she feels like she's being poisoned by his mother-in-law every time she visits his in-laws' house, and nobody believes her, and over time it all comes to a head. It turns out that the mother-in-law is giving her something to make her sick because the mother-in-law is concerned that the husband is going to kill her for insurance money.
Oh.
The mother-in-law is the hero of the story. She is keeping her safe and sick and in the house so that the evil husband, who winds up dying at the end of the story, does not bring her out and kill her for money.
Is the evil husband modeled after you?
No.
How much did you sell that to? How much money did you get selling that short story to Sony?
$300,000.
Was that the complete amount that was paid by Sony?
No. The complete amount was $400,000.
What happened to the other $100,000?
Lawyers, managers, agents.
When did you receive the $300,000 from Sony?
Late June of 2022.
And how did you receive that money? In what form?
It was sent to a bank account that Mr. McIntyre had said he was comfortable with their security, that he was going to help keep safe. Renaissance Bank. I believe there's one right across the street from here.
I thought you said he didn't have access.
I thought you told law enforcement that Jim McIntyre facilitated giving you that money.
He facilitated in that, he made sure that I could get it safely. He also said that he was involved. The original story got picked up by Sony because it went kind of viral. It was featured on a TikTok channel. I don't use TikTok, but it got attention there, and then from there it spread to Twitter. He said that he was working with some I don't know what you would call it, web-based companies that are designed to get attention on certain things.
Now, you said that you had learned prior to this that actually Cameron's credit card had been used to pay for a lot of your rentals and expenses, correct?
Yes, that's true.
So when you received that $300,000, how much of that did you give to Cameron?
I did not give any of that to Cameron.
And why not?
Because I believed that there was more money coming shortly thereafter, and that this was the money that we were going to both get ourselves settled with and get Mindy's parents settled with.
When did you move in, approximately, when did you move into the Airbnb on East 65th Street?
Late June of 2022. I believe it was the 26th or 27th.
Can you describe that Airbnb?
Yeah, it's a small house, one level. You walk up 2 or 3 steps to get in, and then it enters into a small living space. There's a sofa along that front wall. Sorry, I'll stop gesturing. I know that the record can't pick it up. Directly across from there is a small hallway. In the center of the hallway, there's a bathroom with a shower. And on either ends of that hallway, there are the 2 bedrooms of the house. To your right, there's what appears to be a small extension with another bathroom that contains a bathtub and the washer and dryer. If you continue to your left, it kind of makes an L shape, though if you look at the house from above, it is a rectangle because of those bedrooms. You have your kitchen, a small eating area, and then around that corner, you have another living area with a TV and access to the backyard.
Can you describe the backyard?
Backyard, it was nice. It was fairly large. It had a chain link fence all the way around. There was a large tree. There were neighbors fairly close on either side that we could see, but it was a family on one side and a kind of a construction area on the other side, and then it backed to a lane where they would collect the trash from, and people would sometimes drive down it.
We've seen a lot about a Ford Explorer. When did you purchase that Ford Explorer?
I purchased that Ford Explorer in late July of 2022.
And where did the funds come from to purchase that Ford Explorer?
From Sony, from that picture contract, movie contract.
Moving picture.
Who lived in that house, the Airbnb on 65th Street?
Myself and Mindy, and Frank III and Betsy. We all moved in on the same day.
It's a big party.
And do you know why Frank III and Betsy were living with you then?
Because they had also been told that they had to leave Frank IV and Megan's house, and they did not have a place to go.
He cannot lock eyes with the jury.
So there's four of you living in this house, plus Rusty, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I don't mean to leave off Rusty. How was your relationship?
With Rusty?
No, between the four of you.
Oh, between the four of us? For the most part, it was very good. Mindy sometimes had a difficult relationship with her father. They would have arguments, and these were kind of long-standing things that went back to her youth, her college days, things of that nature. But we all got along very well, and Mindy was exceptionally close with her mother.
What were you doing for work at this time?
I was continuing to work for Apis at this time. At this point, the name had changed to Apis. And
what was Mindy doing at this time?
Mindy was not working at this time. I mean, she would make phone calls or things that Jim told her to do, and that was kind of regular throughout. But I believe those to be about our situation, not about any sort of work she was doing.
Can you describe the average day for you and Mindy while y'all were living there?
Yeah, absolutely. I would wake up generally around 8:30, 8:45. That was generally the time that Frank and Betsy would leave, so that Betsy could go to work. They only had one car, so Frank would bring her to work and then come home, so he would have a car during the day. So I think I would normally hear them leaving and get up. I would bring Rusty outside to the bathroom. I would make coffee, and I would start working. I would take a break to take a shower midday, have a bite to eat, and I would continue working until generally 1 or 2 in the morning.
Midday shower.
And did you leave the house during that time?
Not
on an average day, would you?
On an average day, I would say no. But as time went on, I did leave the house more. But sometimes I would go out to pick up something that we needed for the house or pick up food. But on an average day, especially when we first got there, we had everything delivered, and I would go out very little.
And what about Mindy? What did you observe about her average day?
On her average day, she would not leave the house at all.
Why not?
She was terrified that she would be killed if she did.
Why was she terrified she would be killed? Do you know why she was terrified she would be killed?
Jim told her that while he felt that at this point my family was going to wanted to get me back in the fold, so to speak. He said that's why I hadn't been killed in Charlottesville when I was assaulted. But he said that they viewed Mindy as an impediment, and that they would have killed her had they had the chance.
But you left the house.
I left the house.
Weren't you terrified to leave the house?
I was always terrified to leave the house. But I believed Mindy to be pregnant throughout this, and I don't know. It was my job.
Well, let's talk about that. Why did you believe Mindy to be pregnant?
Mindy told me that she was pregnant.
When did she tell you she was pregnant?
We were still at Frank and Megan's when she said she had taken a pregnancy test and that it was positive.
Did you see the test?
I don't know if I saw that test. I'd seen a test before, but I may have, I may not have. I just don't remember.
Had she ever previously been pregnant?
She had, roughly a year before, July of 2021. We had lost a baby.
Did she test positive for a girl? Yes.
Did the two of you, well, let's start with you. What people outside this immediate family unit of 4 folks were you in communication with?
Jim.
At this point, Cameron Nelson, Angela Wynn.
Jim off the list.
Sometimes we would talk to. We had some other friends that we didn't talk to as much. a couple of friends of mine from law school I would contact once in a while. Mindy's friends Angela and DJ, her friend Elizabeth.
He left Jim off the list because he's not a real person.
I would say, most of our real communications, I'll say, talking to people were with
real communications
with those people.
The fake ones were
Tell
with
me about
Jim.
your relationship with Cameron Nelson.
Cameron has always been both a friend and a mentor. Cameron as an attorney, as an officer, as a human being, is somebody I've always wanted to emulate. I frankly think the world of her.
What about your relationship with Angela Wynn?
Angela and I were always friendly. I liked Angela a lot. We didn't know each other as well. By the time I met Mindy, Angela had moved to Tennessee, so I saw her on various visits, our wedding, and then I would talk to her sometimes online. But so we didn't get a chance to know each other quite as well. But I've always thought very highly of Angela.
How did you communicate with Cameron?
Through Signal.
Why Signal?
Because we were told that our communications, especially our communications with friends and family, should be through Signal.
Told by?
Are you aware of any communication that Mindy had with people outside the home?
No. That's not something we would talk about generally. I mean, I knew that Mindy talked to people. I could hear her on the phone. Sometimes she would mention talking to somebody by name, but I mean, the scope of these conversations was not something that we ever discussed.
Did the two of you ever socialize with people from outside the home while you were living at 65th Street?
Never.
Why not?
Because we were scared to. I mean, frankly, the only people I thought knew precisely where we were at this time were Frank and Betsy, who literally lived with us, and Jim.
There's Jim. Jim's back.
Let's begin to approach the time of Mindy's murder.
Yes, sir.
You purchased a shovel at Home Depot at the beginning of November, I believe November 4th. Why?
I was trying to do some work in the crawl space of the house just to prevent future issues with the mosquitoes that we had been plagued with when we moved in, and that I was trying to find a permanent solution to before we left.
Please tell the jury about the mosquito issue.
Yeah, when we moved in, there were mosquitoes in the house. At the time, we didn't think anything of it. It's Georgia in the summer. You're going to have mosquitoes. In August, Frank and Betsy had gone away for 2 or 3 weeks. They went up to Illinois or Wisconsin to see Matthew play baseball in a summer league he was in. And things got exponentially worse with the mosquitoes while they were gone. I had bought one of those little lamps that attract them and put it in the bathroom where we seemed to be having more. And I opened the bathroom one night and there were thousands of mosquitoes in the bathroom. It really does attract them, but they were coming up. At that time, we realized that the vanity in the bathroom had, when it was installed, they had cut a large hole in the wall that was open to the crawl space under the house and had not patched it up. So they were coming up literally under the vanity.
And did you attempt to correct that?
I did. I did multiple things in the house to correct it.
How did you attempt to correct it?
Temporarily, I did just duct tape it over. Then we went about trying to seal it in different ways with foam, with spackle, at one point with wood, but that didn't work out at all. We were also concerned at various points that the mosquitoes were getting into the HVAC system, because we would sometimes see them popping out of the little vents up in the ceiling. So I went, one morning I bought a step ladder, and I went around the entire house and I fit window screens with tape over the interior, all of those, so that if they were getting in somewhere, they would not be able to get out into any of the rooms in the house.
They'd be trapped in the air ducts.
Tell me about the time around Thanksgiving. What was going on in your house then?
Mindy was not doing well. Her pregnancy was, what I believe to be her pregnancy was very difficult. She had a lot of health issues. I was helping her take her blood pressure every night. I was helping her get in and out of bed. I thought that she was really physically struggling, and I was trying to help her and trying to ensure that she was okay, that she and the baby were okay.
Okay. Did you travel out of town over Thanksgiving?
No.
Did anyone in the house travel out of town over Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Betsy and Frank traveled out of town.
Do you know where they went?
I believe they went to Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Do you recall when they left?
They left the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, that would be.
And when did they return?
She died.
They returned the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So 3 days after Thanksgiving.
Do you recall the date?
I do. I could figure it out.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
What were you doing and Mindy? What were you and Mindy doing while your in-laws were in Hilton Head?
Really nothing. I mean, I made some food for Thanksgiving. Mindy, had a very hard time standing upright for any length of time. So we might have watched some TV. Sometimes we would do that if we had the house to ourselves, because the TV was out in the room. Y'all have seen some pictures of it. It's got 2 chairs and the futon. That was generally the room that Frank the Third and Betsy sat in and watched TV. I worked in the other living room that didn't have a TV. It had the couch. So, but if they weren't home, then we would sometimes sit in there and watch something if she was feeling up to it.
And during that Thanksgiving weekend, were you ever away from your home?
I was.
Where did you go?
I went to look at some apartments. We were trying to leave the area, and we were trying to find a place for Frank and Betsy to live when we left the area, because we wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. We didn't want to leave them in the lurch as we thought that they had been left in the lurch before.
Where did you go to look for homes?
I believe I looked at a home in Savannah, and I believe I looked at a home in Hilton Head. But during this time frame, I looked at multiple homes for them, both online and in person. So I'm not exactly sure if that's where I went.
Okay. Did you ever hear from Mindy while you were away from home Thanksgiving weekend?
Yes, I did.
What did you hear?
I got a message from her that she was leaving the home, that she was concerned, and she was going to get medical attention.
Did you rush home to assist her in getting medical attention?
I did not. I asked her if she thought I should come back, and she said that she didn't need, that she was going to be picked up and that she was all right.
Did she tell you where she was going to get medical attention?
We had discussed it in prior days, that she was going to be taken to a birthing center, that a doctor or the man I believe to be a doctor who had been seeing her in the home worked at or was affiliated with in some way. Mr. McIntyre was comfortable with that, because we were very scared again about the medical issues, with insurance, with payments, with our location being found.
So you're still in communication with the person you call Jim McIntyre?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and not just about this. I mean, other than Mindy, he was the person I spoke to more than anyone else for years. He knew, personal things about me, stresses, issues with Mindy's family when there were the arguments there. I mean, we didn't just talk like, oh, people are trying to kill you, how do you feel about that? It was the kind of conversations you would have with a close friend.
Who found Mindy's doctors?
Mindy did, I believe.
Do you know the names of her doctors?
I do not.
Who found the birthing center?
I believe that came from Mindy's doctor.
Okay. What did you find when you returned home during Thanksgiving weekend?
Mindy was gone.
When was the next time you heard from Mindy?
I continued to receive signal messages from Mindy over the next several days.
What were the contents? What was the contents of those messages?
I was told on I believe Sunday that I should be preparing to leave again. This was something that had come up multiple times where we were told to pack, and then a few days later we would unpack. It was a constant hassle and stress. But I was told to pack just the things that we would need just for a couple of days, and that we might be leaving very, very quickly in the future.
And who had told you to prepare to leave?
I believe that came from Mindy, or I believed at the time that came from Mindy.
Why would Mindy direct you to leave the home, if you know?
Because I thought we were leaving the home. Our plan had never been to stay in Savannah. That was a temporary spot, and I believed that we were going to be leaving in the near future. And I believed that, you know, based on what she was being told, that that was happening.
Where were you planning on moving to?
At the time, we were planning on moving to Missouri.
What did you plan on doing once you got to Missouri?
Have the baby and, you know, settle there and, you know, try to, you know, put our lives back together to an extent. You know, we'd get to see family and friends, you know, that we hadn't seen, or we had very, you know, we hadn't seen some of our friends in years.
Like Jim.
When did? Well, you already said that. When did you next see Mindy?
I never saw Mindy again.
Why not?
I got messages Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that I thought were from her. Everything seemed positive. And Thursday said I received a phone call and was told she'll be ready to pick up this afternoon. I'd sent her a few messages that hadn't heard back. I assumed she was either napping or undergoing some sort of test that she didn't have her phone with her. But that evening, Thursday, December 1st, I was told that she had died.
Who told you that she had died?
A man at a medical clinic of some sort that I went to.
Where was the medical clinic you went to?
Somewhere in Savannah or the greater Savannah area. I don't know Savannah very well, so.
What was the name of the man that told you that?
I do not recall.
Tell me about what happened when you got to the birthing center and spoke to this man.
I was brought back. He was kind of waiting for me. I was brought to an office, and I assumed I was getting, like I had gotten before, with various medications or various, you know, tools of, you know, like the blood pressure cuff that I tested her with, that I was going to get some sort of instruction on aftercare. And he sat me down and said, you know, I'm very sorry to tell you that Mindy passed away very suddenly today.
Did you ask to see her?
I did.
What was the result of that?
He said I could not at that time. My understanding leaving, I don't recall his exact words. I was an absolute wreck. But my understanding was that there was going to be an autopsy, so I assumed that she was being prepped for that, or she had already been transported somewhere for that.
How did you feel when you were told you couldn't see your wife?
I was distraught, but I believed that I was going to see her I believed that I would get a chance to see her.
What did you do next?
He had me sign some forms that I believed were for the autopsy, some sort of a release, and then I drove home.
How were you told she died?
At that time, I was not. He said that she had died very suddenly, that she had been brought back from some testing and had gone to the bathroom, and that the nurse was called away before she was done in the bathroom, and that by the time they came back to rehook her up to her machines, she had passed away, and that was why no alarms had been raised at the time, I guess.
Okay, so you said you drove home from there.
Yes.
What happened when you got home?
I spoke to Frank and Betsy immediately. I mean, Betsy, I walked in and Betsy said, "Oh my God, is it the baby?" Like she could just see from my face that something was horribly wrong, and I started sobbing.
And you eventually told them?
Yes. Yes, I did.
What happened after that conversation? What did you do?
I contacted Jim, I believe, shortly thereafter, and told him what had happened, and he said that he would find out what happened. He said he was so sorry for me. And then I honestly, I think I got drunk.
What did you do next?
Sometime either the following day or the day after, we had started to reach out to friends. I believe I reached out to Cameron and to Angela first. I met with Jim. He said he wanted to give me the results right away. Could I meet him somewhere outside Savannah? And you know, I assumed it was the closest point, and that you know I would get the news quicker on what had happened. I remember talking to Betsy on my way out because she said, you know, do you think we should be, she worked at Hunter McLean at this time in downtown Savannah. She said, do you think we should be looking for a lawyer? And I said, absolutely. Like, I am very unhappy with the care. Like, you know, how do you leave a woman who's, you know, who had all these health issues, you know, alone for any length of time where she's not being monitored? Like, I absolutely, at that point, you know, wanted her to start that process.
Did you find a lawyer?
No, we did not, because of my conversation with Mr. McIntyre that day.
They're so hard to find.
It was Friday or Saturday.
At some point, did you travel down to the Liberty County area?
I believe so.
Why?
This was on Tuesday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday, based on the other things. And I had been told to bring the two bins that we had to a house. I assumed it was somebody who worked at this birthing center or somebody Jim was familiar with. And this was something we had done before, where we were going from point A to point B, and some or all of our stuff went to point C in between. So I brought them down. I met with a gentleman and delivered them to him.
What vehicle were you driving when you came down?
I was driving my Ford Explorer. It was a 2022 forest green.
Please endeavor to let me get the question out first.
I'm sorry.
You were driving your Ford Explorer, and you met with a man.
Yes.
What man did you meet with?
I don't know his name. I was just directed to go to him to deliver this.
To deliver what again?
To deliver 2 totes full of personal items, things we would need for a couple days, things that I'd been asked to, you know, toiletries, some clothes, shoes, some books, things of that nature.
And where did you deliver them to?
I'm not exactly sure. It was a house, I presume somewhere in the greater Liberty County area, but I'm not exactly sure.
How'd you know where to go to deliver these?
I was given an address of a church that I was told to use as a waypoint, and then I was given GPS coordinates from there.
We've heard testimony that at some point your phone was turned off. Why was that?
I was told to turn off my phone because of concerns that it could be tracked.
It was.
So how did you get to the location without use of your phone?
Mindy and I had a GPS, an older Garmin GPS that, you know, had always been kind of our backup. If you know, if you lose cell coverage or something like that, if you're somewhere, then we kept that with us actually for a long time.
Where's that GPS now?
That GPS, I believe, burned up in my car.
Where's the shovel you purchased on November the 4th at Home Depot?
I believe that was either given, well, I know it was either given to Frank III or it was left at the house on East 65th Street.
We've seen receipts and photos of you buying a Milwaukee knife at Home Depot. Do you recall that?
I do.
Why were you buying that knife?
One of the screens that I had put in place, the one in the living room with the TV where Frank and Betsy spent most of their time, there was something weird about that. It looked like it had been damaged when it was initially installed, but it would hang out quite often, and I was having a very hard time keeping the netting on it and keeping it secured up there. So I was looking for something that kind of long and thin. I thought I could trim back the netting without causing further damage to this, and hopefully get it to sit up there. This was one of Mindy's big things. Was always like every place we live, you know, even though these are vacation rentals, we should leave it in a better condition than we found it.
Are you a hunter?
I am not.
Why would you buy a deer processing kit at Bass Pro Shops?
I received a message from who I believe it was Mindy on Monday, the 28th of November, and said that she'd been thinking about Christmas gifts for her brother Matthew, who is a hunter at this point. That seemed to be everything he did on weekends, and directed me to go to Bass Pro Shops and to buy it. So I did.
Where's that set of knives?
I believe I left that at the property when I departed. I left some things there that were kind of upsetting to see, and some of Mindy's goods, things that she had picked out.
Why would those be upsetting to see?
And I believe that Mr. McIntyre was coming to pick them up and store them with the rest of our belongings.
Where's the Milwaukee knife that you purchased?
The Milwaukee knife was either left in my car when it burned, or it was left in my storage unit in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
You have a storage unit in Lancaster, Pennsylvania?
I do.
What's in that unit?
Personal belongings, some excess clothing, some furniture.
Still? Police are like, hang on.
Do you eventually leave Savannah?
I do, shortly thereafter. I mean, our plan had been to leave Savannah in the vicinity of this time regardless. It had been for some time. But I left, I believe, the following Tuesday.
What happened to Betsy and Frank III? They were living with you. Where were they supposed to live?
I continued to work on finding them a place to live, and that following Tuesday I moved them into a condo in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
How did you pay for that condo?
I paid for that condo with my debit card.
Weren't you afraid that that would give away your location?
We had not had issues with the banking information. We believed that we had had a leak of some sort with an online company that we were having something delivered to the house with, but Jim pointed out that we had had no issues with the billing addresses of my banking information, which was either in Atlanta or Florida with that mail service that we were using again. So he said since neither of those had been touched, he thought that was good news that there would not be any danger to them.
What about paying for your Savannah Airbnb with your personal card?
Yeah, likewise. He did not feel that there was a... He did not feel that there had been any issues with this bank. No money had mysteriously gone missing from it. And given that our billing addresses were in Atlanta and or Florida, and there had been no issues there, he said, this bank is secure and you are not having issues with it. You know, however you were being targeted years ago, you are not being targeted now.
So you left town?
Yes.
And you left Mindy's body behind?
I was told in roughly this time that Mindy's body had been cremated.
How did that make you feel?
Livid. Absolutely livid.
Why?
Because I believed that I was going to get to see her before she was cremated.
You know, we saw some banking financial records of yours that make it look like you're ping-ponging back and forth around. Can you describe to the jury where your travels took you next?
Absolutely, yeah. And some of that I think is just that hotels will sometimes bill you a couple days after you check out. But I left Savannah and I drove down to Jacksonville, Florida. We had a mail processing center right outside Jacksonville in a little town called Green Cove Springs. So I spent the night in Jacksonville and then went to pick up some property there in the morning, some mail.
What did you pick up in Florida?
I mean, there were multiple things that we hadn't had shipped, but the thing that we couldn't have shipped was some beer that had been sent there.
Who sent you the beer?
I believe it was a friend. I was part of a beer, kind of a rare beer group on Facebook, and sometimes guys would send each other beer.
Where did you go after Jacksonville, Green Cove Springs, Orange Park?
I started heading towards St. Louis, Missouri, where we had planned to go at that point. And I spent a night in Alabama. That kind of seemed like a halfway point. And I had an appointment there the following morning. So,
what was your appointment in Alabama?
To get Mindy's ashes.
Do you need water? Are you okay? Do you need water? Okay.
Lion makes my mouth dry. If you can give me... Do you have something bigger than... Something like a gallon, maybe? That's better. Now let's continue.
Why, if you know, are Mindy's ashes in Alabama?
I had no idea where Mindy had been cremated. This was information I had gotten third hand from Mr. McIntyre. Then I received a phone call from a gentleman who said that, you know, I had to arrange to pick them up, and we were discussing where we would both be, and he said that he could meet me in Montgomery, Alabama.
And what did he give you there?
He gave me a bag that he said contained Mindy's ashes. It also contained her engagement ring and her wedding ring.
What, if anything, did you give him?
I gave him $5,000 in cash that I withdrew that morning from the Renaissance Bank in Montgomery, Alabama.
Did he give you any additional paperwork?
He did not.
Did he give you a death certificate?
He did not.
Did you ask for a death certificate?
I asked, at one point, I asked Mr. McIntyre if I could get one, but Given that we had no life insurance, it wasn't something that I needed for anything. It was just something that I wanted to have, and I failed to follow up on it.
That's not the only
You
reason
say you had no life insurance. You both had no life insurance?
We both had no life insurance, yes.
Twitches.
Where'd you go after Alabama?
St. Louis, Missouri. I arrived there the next night.
What, if anything, did you do in St. Louis?
I did work for APIS, and I also filed to change my name.
Why did you file to change your name?
This was what we had been told would be kind of the culmination of our, everything we were going through. That if we changed our names too soon, that our name change would be figured out, and then we would have to go through the whole process again. But that kind of the last thing we would do would be changing our last name so that we would not be found.
And you saw the paperwork where you changed your name?
I actually physically, I went to two courthouses because I went to the wrong courthouse first, but I physically filed the paperwork myself.
Physically cheated.
Are you the one that completed all of that paperwork?
I did complete that paperwork, yes.
And you said that you were the victim of domestic violence?
Yes, I did.
Why did you say you were the victim of domestic violence?
Because I believed that everything that had happened to us for years was at the hands of Wayne, my dad.
You mentioned an incident in Charlottesville that you believed was Wayne attacking you, correct?
Yes.
Were there any other encounters between you and Wayne prior to you filling out that form?
Absolutely. He came to Savannah. He found us in Savannah when we were living on East 65th Street, and came one morning and knocked on the door.
He knocked on the door of your home?
Yes.
Was anyone with him?
Yes. Yeah. His brother Chet was with him.
Do you see them in the courtroom now?
Yeah. My dad is right there in the blue polo, and my Uncle Chet is 3 people down from him.
What did you do when you saw them at your doorway?
I was terrified. We had a near miss from a hurricane the night before, so a lot of people, Betsy and Frank included, had left Savannah, but it ended up coming ashore north of Charleston. But I assumed it was the homeowners, the gentleman Matt and his wife who testified, that were coming to check on the house, just make sure there was no damage. So I opened the door. I hadn't had any coffee yet. I assumed that it was them, and I was very shocked when I opened the door.
What did you do when you saw them?
I think I said, why are you here? How did you find me? Or something like that. They said, that they had hired somebody to track me down. They asked if I would come somewhere with them private to talk. I said absolutely not. And then I shortly thereafter I slammed the door and locked it.
Was Mindy there when this happened?
Mindy was in the bedroom with the door closed at this time. Her sleep schedule was kind of a mess at this point. She would, sometimes be awake all night because she couldn't sleep. Then she would be asleep all day. But at this point, it was probably 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not kind of guessing, but she was in the bedroom.
Did she witness any of this?
She did not, no.
What did you do after you slammed the door?
I went into the bedroom and told Mindy, Wayne just knocked on the door. I opened the door, like he knows where we are, and we called Jim McIntyre.
And then what did you do?
He asked details about it, and then he told me that since Mindy had not been seen, that he felt like it was better for her to kind of hunker down in the house with Rusty, and that I should meet him. He directed me to a hospital that we'd previously identified as a safe place to meet. We had told Betsy and Frank that if they ever felt that they were being followed on the way home from work, that they should go to this hospital. I believe it's the Chandler, or I don't know. It was about 2 blocks away. There was always a security vehicle sitting in the lot. He said that there were cameras there, and so he told me to meet him there.
Let me go back to something real quick that we heard when Frank III testified. He was required to be out of the house from before lunch to 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was following this incident. So when we first got there, we did not have any rules on what we could do when. But following this, we had a number of changes and basically how we lived that were implemented.
Who implemented those new rules?
Mr. McIntyre. I believe he emailed them about them personally. they were sometimes in email contact, Frank and Betsy and him, but I would sometimes see these emails or hear reference to them. Sometimes they were, I thought, unnecessarily mean, but I
sent them anyway.
What email service did you use?
At this time, I used Proton Mail.
Could you describe to the jury any unique features of Proton Mail, if there are any?
Yeah, there are a couple. First is that if both people have Proton Mail accounts, then messages sent from a Proton Mail account to another Proton Mail account are encrypted. So if Mindy and I were emailing notes back and forth to each other, or sending each other things, if we were dealing with other people who used Proton Mail, then those would be encrypted. Even Proton Mail can't read those messages. Only the people on either end of the conversation can. The other thing about it is that they are a company that doesn't sell your information. Most email providers, as the saying goes in kind of the privacy world, if something is free, that means that you're the service. That means that they are selling you in some way, either through advertising or much more commonly, they're selling your personal information to anyone who will buy it.
You seem to go really out of your way to remain private, to communicate privately with Signal and as well as Proton Mail. Why is that?
Because I thought we were being hunted, literally. I was scared to death for years and years.
After you changed your name in St. Louis, and that's where you changed your name to start, correct?
Yes, it is.
Where did you go next?
I went to Pennsylvania.
Why did you go to Pennsylvania?
I had struck up started as a friendship and then had grown somewhat flirtatious with another writer, and I was going to see her.
You were having an internet affair with a woman that was not your wife, correct?
I wouldn't call it an internet affair. I mean, it was mildly flirtatious, but.
When did that begin?
We started. She had thought that we had talked on and off years before, and we may have. I had a lot of social media accounts deleted and restarted over the years, but we started talking in earnest in either September or October of 2022.
Can you please tell the court her name?
Samantha Kolyesnik. I'm trying to pronounce that correctly.
And we saw text messages between you and Samantha, direct messages in Twitter.
Yes.
Between you and Samantha Kolyesnik, correct?
Absolutely.
Do you recall telling Samantha Kolyesnik that your wife had died some years prior to her actual death?
I did.
Why did you tell her that?
This goes back to the fall of 2020. We were in Beaufort and Mindy got sick. And within a day or two, took a COVID test and it was positive. This was pre-vaccine, and we called Mr. McIntyre. He had somebody come and pick her up and take her to the hospital, and I was told within a matter of days that she was not expected to live. It was Rusty and I in Beaufort.
Is he getting?
And I was told that I was not allowed to talk to any of our close friends or our family about what was going on, because nobody was allowed to see her. She was in a COVID ward. At that point, since none of us had vaccines, nobody was going to be allowed in, and that the chances of where I was being identified were extremely high. And I was, using social media to talk to people. I was a wreck. I was not doing well.
Why did you lie again?
I started communicating with an old friend of Mindy's, or maybe an old acquaintance would be the better term, by the name of Joy, and it came to it became much more romantic in nature. To the extent that she came and visited me twice in Beaufort, and that we had talked that after Mindy passed away, we were going to move to be near her family in Minnesota.
But when you told Samantha Kolyesnik that
Yeah, you
Mindy
lost
had
the
died.
question.
That was in October of 22, I believe.
Yes. Following this, Mindy recovered in late December 2020. It was very, very unexpected, and Jim was, frankly, he said he had not been reviewing my social media as closely as he had at the beginning, and was frankly extremely livid with me that I had been talking to people that I didn't know well, that I had been saying outside of Signal, I had been saying where I was, what was going on with Mindy. I was frankly trying to survive. So we had almost no social media access for a period of months. He said that we had both in the past said things to people on social media that we didn't know well, that we shouldn't have. And then following that, he said he had some new rules for us that we, he said that since I had told so many people that I was married, that I had to start saying that Mindy had passed away, that she had died of COVID. I told,
as punishment.
But that was what I told all of my kind of online writing friends in the writing community. And he said that was to keep her safe. I don't recall what exactly she was supposed to say, if she was just supposed to say that she was unmarried or divorced, or if something had happened to me. We didn't talk a lot about our kind of individual chats with other people. Mindy and I did not talk about that with ourselves. So that became a running thing that I was supposed to tell anyone that I befriended, that I talked to more than a handful of times, was that I was widowed, that my wife had passed away. And it started by saying she died of COVID, and then as she would get medical attention for various things, he would change that, because he said if medical records of where she had been ever leaked, it would look consistent.
So you went to Pennsylvania to see Samantha.
Yes, I did.
When did you get to Pennsylvania? Do you recall?
Mid-December, maybe the 16th.
What did you do when you got to Pennsylvania?
I had rented a place in a little town called Ephrata, kind of Lancaster. I think it's Lancaster County, and unpacked the things that I still had with me and got Rusty situated, and then Samantha and I went out for dinner.
We saw a driver's license you procured in Delaware.
Yes.
Why did you procure a Delaware driver's license?
After the name change was finalized, which was January 4th, I had filed it in late December, and then on January 4th, I went back to court. I had a hearing before the judge. I explained my situation, and she granted the name change. I had started the process of changing other things. I went to the Social Security office when I was told to in Delaware, and I changed my Social Security number to reflect my new name. I changed my name to reflect my... No, I think I said it right the first time. I'm sorry. So I had to update it, just like women have to if they change their name after marriage or something like that. You go to Social Security, that's your first stop, and you say, this is why my name changed, either the marriage certificate or the name change order. And so what was once Nicholas James Kassotis on the Social Security number is now Nicholas Killian James Stark.
And how long did it take Social Security to update that information?
It takes them apparently about 24 hours. So I didn't realize this at the time. I left the Social Security office and went to the DMV in Delaware. And when I got there that morning, I was told, no, this will take, it might be done today, but more likely it will be sometime. And this was on a Friday, I believe, so it'll be sometime after the weekend.
What name is on your Delaware driver's license?
Nicholas James Kassotis. I went back that afternoon to a different DMV and filled out. I had my name change order. I had a printout from Social Security. I had some documents that Mr. McIntyre had provided, and then I explained the situation, and the woman said, "Oh yeah, I think this will be fine." At this point, we went through the entire process. She had me pay. She gave me the card. It came off the printer, and I said, "This is the wrong name." And she said, "Oh yeah, this is, it hasn't updated in the system yet, so I can't issue you one under your new name. You're gonna have to come back next week. But here's your Delaware driver's license." And I was a little unhappy I had paid for it, frankly.
Tell us about your time in Lancaster County.
I started going to Lancaster County fairly regularly on weekends to see Samantha.
And did that relationship continue to grow?
It did, yes. It was romantic. It very quickly grew serious. Probably unhealthily fast. In both our situations, but yes.
And you eventually got married, correct?
Yes, we did.
When did you get married to Samantha?
April 21st of 2023.
We've seen pictures of your burned up Ford Explorer. What happened?
Sir. On March, believe it was March 20th of 2023, I was driving the Ford Explorer. I had left the rental we were staying at, driven north to run some errands, and also to, I believe, picked up a cashier's check for the purchase of a home. And shortly thereafter, I was making a turn onto another road, and the car was kind of fighting me a little. Like it was taking more force to turn than I thought it would. I continued down the road and was smelling something odd, which in Lancaster County is not necessarily indicative of anything but that you're driving by a farm. And I stopped. At that point, I realized that there was smoke in the interior of the car. I got out, and crossed around to the passenger side to get my phone out, but opened the door, and the fire kind of just came right up at me. It was the car went up extremely fast.
What injuries, if any, did you suffer?
I suffered some burns to my face. I lost a lot of hair, like an eyebrow, and a lot of hair off the side of my head. I also had a burn to my right eye. It didn't occur to me before this that your eyes could actually get burned, but they can.
What happened to the goods that were in your vehicle?
Everything was destroyed.
You mentioned picking up a cashier's check to purchase a home.
Yes.
Tell me about your home purchase.
Sam and I had been looking for places to live, and we had settled on a house in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
When was the closing date?
Closing date was March 20th.
Did you put any deposit on the house?
I put a $50,000 EMD on the house.
Did you ever
earnest money?
Where was the cashier's check from?
I believe it was from Citizens Bank, but I did not physically draw the cashier's check. I looked at it to verify that the name of the closing company was right, that the amount was right, and I believe it was a Citizens Bank cashier's check. Actually, I know it was a Citizens Bank because I called Citizens Bank thereafter to discuss with them.
You say you didn't draw the cashier's check. Who drew the cashier's check?
Somebody that Jim McIntyre worked with, who he had me meet and pick up that morning.
And what happened to the check?
The check burned along with my car, bits of me, and everything I had in the car at the time.
What did you do about the destroyed check?
I talked to Mr. McIntyre. Within, I don't know the exact time. It was pretty shocking. But I was driven back to the rental by a police officer, and I called him while I was still in the police officer's car to say, I need a new cashier's check, and he said, I think that might take a while. I think that's a problem. So while he was calling about the actual account, I was calling the general Citizens Bank customer service, and they confirmed to me that it was a long process to get a cashier's check reissued, because their concern is they have to honor a cashier's check. So they have to wait a certain amount of time after they have issued the kind of stop payment on it to make sure it has not been presented at some other bank.
Was the cashier's check the only way to make the final payment on that home?
Later on, we learned that it was not, that we could wire, and I received wire instructions later.
So you eventually wired and closed on the home?
No, we did not. By that point, we had gone back and forth with the owners of the house via our realtors.
We were going to close, and then they renegotiated.
It had been a very stressful couple of weeks. We had utilities on in the home. We had furniture being delivered that was sitting in the driveway that I was having to pick up and move into storage. It was a very stressful time, and I was dealing with physical injuries and didn't have a car at this point. So it was an absolute nightmare. And Samantha said to me that she felt like the entire process had been so poisoned that she no longer wanted to go through with the purchase of that home. So we informed the buyers that we were not going to close. I forfeited that $50,000 EMD, and we started our home search anew.
Wow.
Did you ever eventually buy a home with Samantha?
We did not. We were looking. We were actually going. We had four home showings scheduled on the day of March 12th. When
What happened on March the 12th?
I was arrested shortly after leaving our residence or our rental.
Did you kill your wife, Mindy Kassotis?
I absolutely did not. I've never put my hands on a woman. I've never hurt a woman. I would never have hurt Mindy.
Did you strike her on the head up to 9 times?
Never. Never, not once.
Never, not once.
Did
9
you
times?
dispose of her body?
No, never.
Did you dismember her body?
No, absolutely not. Frankly, I'm not great with blood, so as anyone who's ever given me a doctor's exam can tell you, that is not something that is even remotely possible for me.
My last question is just, is there anything else that you would like to say that I haven't asked you about?
Objection, Your Honor.
That's
that
narrative.
calls for narrative.
Want to respond?
His life is at stake. I don't want to make a mistake and not give him the opportunity to say something.
Your Honor, I'm not trying to prevent him from saying anything, but counsel has to actually ask him a question and not allow a witness to simply just...
He's testified for a couple of hours. It does call for a narrative. It's an improper question.
Okay, I'll withdraw that question. I have no further questions for Mr. Kassotis.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
there will be cross.
we've gone for a couple hours, more than a couple hours, so we'll go ahead and take a break. So if you would, please step out with the bailiff, and we'll call you back in about 10 minutes.
Okay, the tie and belt line is just not happening here with the witness. I'm not sure if you guys caught that, but there needs to be it's not there. Okay, let me give you my quick reaction to this. First of all, I think it explains a lot. I think we can understand why so many people believe him, because he is very good at lying.
All right, the jury's out. We'll be in recess for 10 to 15 minutes.
And by very good, he is very good at maintaining a story that he's made up. I'm not sure if you watched, he was telling the story exactly the same way. He would reflect back and say, oh, let me go back at the same points. He was talking about the same. This goes back to 2020. He answered. His mind is like a trap. He has kept in his mind all those details. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does that. But he is very good at remembering what he said. I think there was only one time where he sort of got tripped up and got lost a little bit. He has this story, this narrative, this whole thing worked out. And it's like he's practiced it. It's identical every time. Now, I say he's good at lying because if somebody's telling the truth, it's very easy to remember the truth. It's hard to remember a lie. I think he's doing it the hard way. I do not feel he's being truthful. I do think he has tells when he gets uncomfortable. His left eye is twitching. I think that's there. I think that's part of it. He can't control. You look at his body language as he will do long glances and he'll watch his lawyer. And then as he turns to the jury, you think, oh, he's looking at the jury. He's being truthful. I don't think he's maintained eye contact with one juror for more than a second. He is all over the place. There is no time to maintain eye contact. It is, I think it's extremely well practiced. I think he's good at this. Blinks a lot. I blink a lot. I don't know what blink rate does. I think, Dr. G might be able to explain this a little bit. But Jim McIntyre, 416. We picked up 200 Jim McIntyres this morning in this. And I feel like the witnesses sitting there on the stand saying, I can explain Jim McIntyre to you, but I can't understand him for you. I mean, what more do you need to know? He was just this crazy guy that I thought was FBI, and so obviously we followed his instructions. But the logical leaps you have to make to understand why he did what he did after seeing evidence after evidence that Jim was not what he said he was, they're absurd. They're probably the hardest parts of the story to believe, mostly because they have the least amount of truth woven into them. Nick does a phenomenal job weaving in truth, weaving in true stories. When he starts, and I haven't called him out on this as many of you did, as when he starts embellishing and giving all the details about the Betsy and Frank like to watch TV in that room, and that's where the mosquito. That's where he's struggling, right? That's where he's struggling. There's so little truth in what he's doing about why he bought the knife that he has to try to weave in these irrelevant details to make it fit. Where he shines with his lies is where he has truth to weave in and give it support. He's like, yeah, I had $32 million come in, just like I had $300,000 come in from Sony. Most people don't have stories published by Sony and the movie rights bought up, and you make $400,000, $300,000 after your agent fees and everything. But I did, and he did. And that gives the $32 million a little more credence. It's like, well, he does live a little bit differently than the rest of us. But BS is the word of the day for this. Melissa says, I'm a writer and I can remember the details of every story I've written personally. We have to tear this apart a little bit. His testimony is wild. The number of times he says, I believe, I was told, I believed, and how much blame he puts on Mindy. Oh my goodness. This was all her idea. Probably the whole murder was her idea. If he had got to be able to tell the story that way, it is wild. He knows he has somebody that nobody can verify from, right? And that's the worst thing for a liar, is somebody that can verify that either you're telling the truth or, in this case, not telling the truth. You don't want that person to come forward. So, of course, you've got a party that was involved in the whole situation who is not available. They're the bad guy that dump everything on them. And he did. He dumped so much on her. Sandy, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you. We did pass the 1,000 likes on the stream, which is awesome. This is complete insanity. I found frankly as more of a tell. It's like when people say honestly, if you feel the need to call it out, feel the need to doubt it. That was in there as well. Good catch. Creator's the funniest in chat. Yeah. Let's see. I think I missed a couple comments here. Just one second. Switch back. Yes, a few. Hit like if you think Nick is lying. That's why the likes went up. Thank you, Francis. I appreciate that. Hannah, member for 21 months. OG says using the break to celebrate the closing in on 24. You're just 3 months away. You'll have a brand new color courthouse. Thank you very much, Hannah. You are an OG. Original GOAT is what it stands for. Not this one. We're talking about greatest of all time. I had to use the screaming goat just a couple times during that testimony. I don't like to interrupt testimony with screaming goats, but it was wild. And the gallery members that can't keep a straight face as they're listening to these lies. His poor dad, oh my goodness. As he's like, yeah, that's him. That's Wayne right there. That's the guy that was trying to kill me. That's the guy, the reason we did all this. Poor dad. Oh my goodness. Katie Bug, thanks for the super chat. Hopefully Jerry got a break right there. Roman ADCC, member for 21 months. Another OG says, I'm catching up to the live, but I'm getting a beautiful mind vibes. Are you sure he's not schizophrenic? Apparently, his mental state is not in doubt. I can tell you he's brilliant. That, like, his mind is very impressive in many ways. It's also not in others. I forgot the number one rule of Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club. Is he speaking about his alter ego after Fight Club? Yes, SJ, he is. Camilla says, hit the like, Jim can't have a higher counter. Blackbird Rest, it's great to have you back, by the way. I know you're an OG as well. 18 months officially, but longer than that for sure. Simply Nikki, thank you very much. Do you think every time he blinks, it's like that's Jim begging to come out? Can you imagine if he does like switch into his Jim mode? That would be wild. During the break, he's still in the stand. He's like, I knew you were going to ask me that question in cross-examination, so I sent a quick message to Jim, and he told me to say, oh man, please, we need more Jim. Crafty grandma, watch his eyes. They will increase the blinking. They did, watching the jury like this. I mean, ping pong, just nonstop. I don't know how he doesn't get dizzy or get a headache. Good for Jim getting his money worth. He sure did. Alex stole it. Yes, we had the Alec Murdaugh reference. Tammy E. gifted 5 memberships earlier this morning. Thank you very much. Nicole Wise, OG, says, let me try this again. OMGGGGG. He's doing it. Yes. I think he thinks he can charm us all. Narcissism at its finest. Thanks for everything, RA and Addicts. Thank you. Kelly H. as well, kicking things off. Oh, we're going way back. We've got a bunch here. Thank you for the popcorn. Macy Coombs, 12 months. Orange Courthouse looks great. I predict a rather quick guilty verdict, says Katie Bug. Let's see. The denied had to do with the judgment of acquittal, which was pretty much similarly denied, although the judge did make them work for it. Kelly H. gifted a membership. Kim R. says Greeners keeps winning and I keep losing. She's talking about the slots on the channel. Selena K. member for 28 months. Thank you, Selena, for that. And Barbara Farthing, welcome to the gallery. Great to have you here. A couple others here at the end. Hannah, we got you using the break to celebrate on 24. And Cookie, member for 9 months. Been here since Daryl Brooks. That makes you an OG. Love this channel. Best and safest place on YouTube. Thank you. It wouldn't be the same without you here, Cookie. Thank you very much. Also, Sloth Life. Attorney level support. Sloth Life, amazing. Member for 19 months. I think a little bit longer. We're going to call you an OG as well. Sloth Life, thank you. Is Jim friends with Robert Tellis? Feels like 19 months is listening to this bowl. Robert Tellis was the public official accused of murder. Remember when he wore the big sombrero and the construction worker jacket and walked to the crime scene? And he got up and testified in his own defense as well, and that was wild. Although I think he did it in narrative. He's like, we're probably going to be here about 4 days because I've got a lot to say, and it ended up being much shorter than that. But his Reddit profile still exists, and the stories are still there. They are. The story was real. It was bought by Sony. That is real. Donna Turner, you need a space in there for that to work. You have to put a space between slots and the points. Marty Herford, member for 12 months. Woohoo, 12 months. It's been entertaining and educational. The best of both worlds. Marty, thank you very much. Appreciate your support as well. Jim's a secret assassin that framed Tellis. Jim is the most mysterious man in the world. I can't wait. This guy makes Tellis look honest. Cross is going to be bonkers. Here's what I predict. First of all, I hope. We have not seen this prosecutor on cross-examination yet. And I'm hoping she's really, really good because she has been phenomenal in every other way. But not every attorney is good at every part of what they do. I would like to see cross-examination jump all over the place. Back and forth. Don't let him control the story as to what comes next and follow up. Jump back, jump forward. Make him draw all those details back out, and every time he mixes something up, call him on it. Every time. Don't let him get back in the story and follow it, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4 through, and see if he can stick to his story then. He might be able to. And, confuse and disorient, but, to get to the truth, not for any other reason. Sounds like he kept Mindy sick in the house. Sounds like that story might have elements of truth woven into it that was sold to Sony. First question, where's the hunting knife kit? Petrified, he answered that one already. He said it was either... he left it at the old house. He left it at the old house, and then did you hear what he said next? He said there were some items that were just too painful to look at. The deer cleaning kit? What about the deer cleaning kit made it too painful to look at? Could it be what it was used for? Because it sure wasn't given as a birthday present. You're telling me you're getting all emotional and choked up over the idea that, this is the last gift that Mindy had me buy for her brother? That's why it's too painful to look at? Because I'm not buying that story. I think that was a hard part came out there. Wait, I thought he bought it as a gift. He supposedly bought it as a gift for the brother for Christmas in September, because as you do, you know, you plan ahead to buy gifts for people. And it just coincided with the murder and dismemberment. And it got left at the house. And what about his other storage unit that he apparently still has? He's like, oh yeah, I've got one. I've got another storage unit. All the evidence, everything you're looking for is back in that storage unit. Police are like, Mr. Sands is like, hang on, Judge, can you sign this search warrant really quickly? Because during the break, we're going to go check something out. Maddie B, I'm not sure if you can do that. Maddie, I'm not sure if that works. I think you have to specifically put a denomination in. But I like your ability to risk it all. That's cool. This is a crazy story. Man. I bought a Deerfield dressing kit for my nephew. I never knew it was a thing till then. Were you listening to the Maya appeal? Brooke, I was. I had that. We logged in on the Zoom with Judge Carroll. We actually had one of our mods and one of our great supporters of the channel, Mathis, was in there as well. I saw them and probably a couple other people watching that because the Maya trial still has not resolved. Can you please catch up on mod chat and DMs? Oh, I will try. Okay. Let me go to DMs first. Amber, I've got that from a couple sources. Thank you. I'll do that when it's not as obvious, if that works. And I'll update those sounds eventually. Oh, you guys are betting it all. Laura, putting the big money in the machine. That is impressive. I hope Dad gives a victim impact statement that sets things straight. This guy thinks he's Alfred Hitchcock directing North by Northwest. Greener's won big on the slot machine and is now ranked #1. Greener's good work. All right. By the way, if you're the slots, that's just something fun we do. We don't do that during trial. During testimony, because there's conversation, we're trying to follow what's happening. During these little break periods, we allow it. But just know that the slot machine gets turned off when courts start again. Greener's just gambled everything. Here we go. And he's gone. Just like that. Greener's just went from one to the bottom. And look at the picture there. Greener's just lost 32,000 points. Sorry, that's a little funny. Oh, it still has your points there. Have you ever heard a crazier story in your life? This guy, I have not. At least not one altogether like this. It is wild. How did Maya do? Did J Hatch pay up? Mostly for those that are wondering, the J Hatch civil suit that still is dragging on. There's still a 2nd District Court of Appeals decision that needs to be made, I think, about the whole settlement. Most of this hearing today has to do with the fact that Mr. Anderson and Nick have split up, and the families, there's different representation now. There are some fees that were paid. There were loans that were taken out. Some of that money, like $4 million of it, is still being held by Mr. Anderson's firm. They say it's for fees. The judge did put an order out saying that all the money that's being held by the attorney should be put in a trust account, and this was not put in a trust account. So there's a possibility that if the money was not for fees, that this could be a bar violation, like ethical. We're talking conversion issues. Anyway, it's nothing major happened.
Everyone, please be seated.
We're basically waiting for that Court of Appeals decision.
It is 11:45.
Hold on, let's wait till the client gets
there.
there.
I wasn't there. I apologize.
And I was going to invite you to have that discussion at the bench.
Okay.
It's 11:45. She does not want to break up the questioning.
No, so you can go. If everyone would approach, please.
Okay. Judge is looking at the clock, looking at the prosecution. I'm sure there's going to be a lengthy cross-examination here. You can't just leave all that untouched, right, from the prosecution standpoint. But prosecution knows how important timing is. And if you get halfway through the setup and then you have to go to lunch and then come back and then pick up again, he could spend some time, working up stories, working up answers and all that. It would be better to not break up the cross-examination. But it's an early lunch. It's a really early lunch. Oh, is it pork chops day? The jail's cooking pork chops? What court was that did that? I forget. The jail cooked pork chops, and the judge is like, I'm getting me some. Yeah, the hearing this morning for Maya was not allowed to be recorded or streamed. Had you wanted and had I chosen to do so, I could have verbatim repeated everything and told you what everybody said throughout the trial or throughout the hearing, but I've got the 5 points the judge addressed: the motions to seal the court record, the sanctions, which they didn't address, motions for attorney's fees and costs, the bank loan, the bridge loan, JHETCH, the counter.
To take a lunch recess at this point, and court will reconvene at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so if you thought this morning was spicy, I'd say wait for this afternoon. It's only going to get better. They're talking with his family. They're like, yeah, you did great. Yeah, I know. I did. Just told, the secret? Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. That's the secret. Pork chops were in the burn pit. The burn pit trial. Melody Ferris. We were mentioned in that one. That was an interesting one. All right. While they go to lunch, they're going to be back at 1, which gives them an hour and 15 minutes for lunch. Let's see. Quick, just before we go to lunch, a quick little thing for chat, if you guys can weigh in on this. I've been trying to keep track of the jobs that are held by, that's out of focus. Wow. Sorry about that. You guys have been looking at that all day. I've been trying to keep track of the jobs that have been held by Jim. If Jim ever did have to apply for a new job, what would he have on his resume? And if you guys could just list, let me give you a few ideas that I've come up with. Uber driver, ambulance driver, tour guide, travel agent, social media manager, obviously security team engineer or head of security. What other jobs would you put down for Jim that have been attributed to that just make it so believable and just make him so believable for everybody? Personal accountant. Yes, finances. I forgot that. He has that whole finance side. That's a big one as well. Banker, money manager is a great one. Realtor, for sure. HR and insurance agent. What's it called when you tell people life coach, how to fill out their forms, their resumes and applications? Paramore. Greeters, I'm not sure. I missed that testimony. I missed that part. Family therapist, Walmart door greeter. Didn't hear that part either. Hitman. We're getting to that. The cleaner, security expert. This guy is just amazing. A therapist, financial advisor, movie writer, screenwriter. Cybersecurity team lead, that's good. Obviously the FBI, which apparently he's like, why would you think I was in the FBI? What gave you that impression? Me flashing my badge? Was that what did it? Fugitive handler. A potty trainer. Andy Candy, that is hilarious. He did in fact at one point say that Jim told him where he could pee behind the tree. Cross is about to be lit. Oh, it's going to be so good. Mortician, investor, dog walker. Nuts. Muck cleaner, pooper scooper. Jim is everybody. Plus, he just shows up at times when he's needed. He's just always there. What is that? Omnipresent, or might be omniscient as well. Does computer coding, door-to-door salesman, Jim of all trades. Crazy. Did he say what happened to Rusty? Yes. First wife got Rusty back, and Rusty lived his last 2 years with the first wife. Probably his best 2 years. You guys are getting good. Pregnancy test seller. Professional storyteller, online security. Dear processor. Man. Kung Fu master. What? I got hit in the back of the head with something hard, probably a bat or a 2x4, and I got kicked in the face. And they kicked me in the face from behind. And it was my dad, but I didn't see him. But I would recognize that footprint anywhere. I don't know how you... The stories are just great. Mosquito handler. Mosquito wrangler, I think is the word. Dr. G should absolutely do this. I might send him a quick text message and make sure he's got an eye on this one. This isn't far from him. He's in Tennessee. Why wasn't Jim his defense attorney? Good question. Great question. All right, we're gonna ponder on this as we go to lunch. I do want to say we've got this has been a crazy day in court, and it's always wild, and you know there's a fun side and there's also a sad side as we're watching families that are just being re-tormented by this what I'll say is a liar. That's what I see it. That's how I'm calling it as a potential juror. And I'm also aware that there's some people out there who are going through some really hard times. Some people here in chat, some people in our community are really struggling. I put out a call the other day just to keep Katia in your prayers as well. Katia Pickles, she's a good friend of the channel and going through some tough times right now as well. If you could just keep doing that, that would be great. I would appreciate that. That's it. All right. There was a Murdaugh reference. I missed the first Murdaugh reference. I mean, I like heard the name, but I didn't realize that it was going to be as much as it was. We are going to portal to our afternoon show, so you don't have to go anywhere. I, like Jim, will take care of you and find your next spot for you. We're just gonna move you right over. It'll be a seamless move. It'll be a safe location where the boogeyman can't get you. So that's going to come at 12:45, which is about 50 minutes from now. I will build the portal as we speak, so if you want to be first in chat, all you have to do is be first. Hey, you're on the live stream. Sorry. You brought me... Thanks, bud. You brought me cookies. Ooh. Oatmeal chocolate. Or oatmeal raisin. Oatmeal raisin, no chocolate in this one. All right. If you want to be first in chat, your name better be Greeners, because Greeners was, in fact, first in chat, apparently. So, all right. We'll build the portal, and you'll get to be transitioned smoothly over there by me. No charge. Big thank you to everyone who liked this stream. If you could do me a favor, even if you're not able to stay for the rest of the day, if you can follow the portal and like the next stream as well, that'll get the 1,000 out of the way right at the beginning, and YouTube could do everything from there. It would be wonderful. So. All right, portal's in place. I'm going to go tell Mrs. Ariel about this because she's not watching this. She's working in school with the kids, so I can't wait to tell her. It's going to be good. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again in about 45 minutes-ish. After lunch, grab some lunch, come back, bring a friend, click the like button if you would. I would sure appreciate it. We'll see you. Be good to each other. See you in a little bit. Bye.